What is good? What is good? What is good? Big Red in the morning over here. Special extra edition Big Red. We've got Ted Cruz on Tucker Carlson. Premiering in a couple minutes. Ted Cruz looking like a gay pussy. Dunbar, what's up? Let me pull up the chats, by the way. Let me pull up the fucking chats. I just realized I don't have the fucking chats up. Let's pull up the fucking chats. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you to everyone who was hanging out with me yesterday. That was very, very fun. I had a very fun stream. If you guys could definitely hit all the follows and hit the follows in all the right places. Help support the show. I finally found the way of doing this damn thing that makes me goddamn extra super duper happy. So the content will only get better. That's my promise to you beautiful people. I think the content's pretty good right now. But what you need to realize is if you think it's good, it's only do the damn thing. If you like this shit, please support, follow, share, all that damn shit. We could just go on and on being gay pussies together. You haven't seen the highlights of this interview? It's unbearable. I did. That's why I'm watching it. That's why I want to watch it right now, because I saw the clip last night and it was insane.
Senator, thank you very much for spending the time to have this conversation.
It's good to be with you.
So you've come out for regime change in Iran, as distinct just from taking out the nuclear sites. What does regime change look like in Iran?
Somebody else in charge.
How do you get there?
Look, that ultimately has to be a popular uprising from the people. And it's not a complicated question. Is America better off with a country that has a leader who hates us and wants to kill us? Or to have a country with a leader who likes us and wants to be friends with us.
And definitely the latter is better.
Of course.
Yeah.
And so that's not a complicated statement. Look, I believe you look across the world when you have countries that have dictators that are viciously anti-America. Venezuela, Maduro hates us. Would we be better off with Maduro out of power? Absolutely. I want our enemies out of power and I want our friends in power.
I could not agree more. The question is, how do you get there?
Of course.
And we've been trying to...
That also, too, yeah, I think that was really good right there with Tucker. Dude, I'm going to have to kill this chat. This chat's, like, brutal, going crazy on me. I like what Tucker said right there because it's this weird thing where they go, like, oh, so you want bad guys in power? You want guys that don't like America in power? And it's like, no. But what Tucker just said was perfect, where it's like, how do you get there? And that's why I've, like, felt a much bigger sense of unity with just the general people of the world. You think with politics you're at each other's throat and all that other shit, but I've just felt a bigger connection with all the people of the world because I realized the vast majority of us agree on the core tenets of what's good and what's bad. I think, at least. There's definitely some big ones like, trans kids and this and that, abortion. There's big ones that are, kind of clashing at it, but I think a lot of people sort of know what's good, what's bad at their core, and then it's the solutions that we all disagree on. Oh, here we go. There he is. Just play the highlights. So it's a TED Talk. TED Talk. You haven't seen the highlights of the interview. He's my local rep. I wouldn't tell him to look out if I was about to get Lewis and Big John Rogan just dropped. Oh, hell yeah.
Kill Maduro for quite some time. We have troops there.
I don't know that we've been trying to kill Maduro.
We have. Oh. And I think you know that. And
I don't know that.
Okay, well, as a statement of fact, we have. So
we do have massive sanctions. We tried to pressure him.
Oh, yeah, dude. So Tucker's out of the gate getting feisty. See, I like that. I like Tucker's. I don't know what it is. Like, I think I've joked about it before. I assume he's a, straight man. Loves women, loves some pussy, but dude, when he needs to, he will pull out that bitchy queen. He will just go into his bag of tricks and he'll be like, bitch, and just fuck them up.
I'm out of office.
Yeah,
I'm not aware of that.
I'm just saying there's a lot of pressure coming from various parts of the U.S. government on that government, and it's still there.
Yeah.
Same, the country of your ancestors, Cuba, 1959, we've been working on that, hasn't worked. So it's, I think we both agree it's hard to do.
It absolutely is hard. And look, I think you're reasonable to ask, how do we produce that? And I think there's a distinction between what your objective is and the means to get it. There are all sorts of things I would say we would be better off. We'd be better off in China without Xi there. Should we invade China and topple Xi? Of course not.
Better off with no national debt.
There are lots of things.
Totally.
But it's good to say, all right, what are our objectives?
Right.
And so with the Ayatollah in Iran, saying you're for regime change, I don't view as complicated. I mean, the guy literally leads mobs chanting death to America. So that's not good.
Definitely not good. But the reason I think it's important to get a little more detailed about how that might happen is because there's military action in progress, which we're supporting. And the president has said clearly, including last night, that he is focused on eliminating the capacity of the Iranian government to produce nuclear weapons. You are saying we need to use military force to effect regime change.
I have not said that.
Oh, I must have.
No, I have not said that once. Okay. I don't think we need to use military force.
That's I love when they act like big dumb children, and they're like
that he is focused on eliminating the capacity.
They'll act like big dumb children. They'll be like, I'm not asking for regime. And you're like, all right, what the fuck do you think's gonna happen then? Like, how do you think you're gonna do that then, dickhead?
To do regime change. I said I support it. I would like to see it happen. You asked me how should it happen? A popular uprising.
Dude, whenever people are fucking lying and they want to get like out of, they want to hit you with like everyone just gets immense autism. He's like, I didn't say use government force. I just said I want a regime change right now in fucking Iran. And you're like, how the fuck's that gonna happen then, dickhead?
What I've advocated for. All right, let's step back a second. You and I, we've known each other a long time. I would say we agree on about 80% of the things on Earth.
For sure.
And there are a lot of things, and we can get into the nitty-gritty of foreign policy as much as you want. There are a lot of things on which you and I agree, not just a little bit, but violently.
Well, I totally agree. I was rooting for you in your last campaign, for sure.
Well, thank you. Look, you have been heroic on the border. You've been one of the clearest and best voices in the whole country on securing the border and on the absolute crisis we're facing. And in Texas, I see it and live it every day. In COVID, in fact, you may recall, in the middle of the COVID lockdown, I was out walking my dog when the whole world was shut down and we were living in lunatic times. And I called you and said, Tucker, your nightly monologues are the single best thing on television. Like I watch them like an.
You always, what's funny? It's like you always just feel how disingenuous he's. I'm not even like I can't even like call him on. I'm not even like calling him on a specific thing. Maybe it's just my bias, but it's like you hear the way he talks, you're like, oh yeah, this is not like a normal person has a conversation. This is like he's politicianing him right now, where he's like, let me give you a big old stump speech or whatever the fuck, and like hit you with some shit like that. And it's like he doesn't and also his hair fucking sucks ass, and he doesn't feel like a real person.
An injection of crack. Okay, I'm mixing my metaphor because you don't inject crack, but you get what I'm saying.
Try.
No, I mean you were standing up and speaking like, what the hell are we doing, in a way that we desperately, desperately needed. And so whether it's securing the border, whether it's the insanity of COVID lockdowns and the vaccine mandates, whether it is the Second Amendment or the First Amendment, you and I agree on a ton of stuff. The 20% where we disagree, I do think is meaningful. And it's mostly in the foreign policy space. And what I would say, if you'll allow me to get a little theoretical, and then I'm happy to get specific.
Yes.
For a long time, people had perceived two different poles of Republican foreign policy. There have been interventionists, and those have been people like John McCain and Lindsey Graham and George W. Bush. And there have been isolationists. And the most prominent of those have been Ron Paul and Rand Paul, and there are others. And people perceive those are the two choices. You got to be one or the other. I've always thought both were wrong. I don't agree with either one. the way I view my own foreign policy.
I'm with you, by the way, for whatever it's worth. I agree with you.
Okay, good.
I don't know who set up that binary, but there are lots of choices, actually.
I mean, people sort of naturally fall into, I think they want to classify people, and they're like, okay, you're one or the other, and you got to.
St. Ivan, what's up? King Malafa, that word. These people are still skating on countering lockdown despite profiting off the stocks, knowing the lockdowns were about to happen. Yeah, also that lockdown shit's fucking annoying and retarded because they're like, and you're like, oh, I oppose lockdowns. I did this, I did that on lockdowns. And it's like, okay, where was like that big fucking push of, it's like, were you just saying you opposed it or were you actually like doing something to help it out? Sup, big dog? What's up, brother? Nansel in distress. Hell yeah, dude.
Be all or nothing. And the interventionists, it seems, have never seen a country they didn't want to invade, and that doesn't make any sense to me. And the isolationists, I think, don't take the threats to America seriously, and I think that's naive and it doesn't work. And so my view, I consider myself a third point on the triangle. And what I describe that as is that I am a non-interventionist hawk, which sounds a little weird, but what do I mean by that? I mean the central touch point for U.S. foreign policy and for any question of military intervention should be the vital national security interest of the United States. How does this make America safer? How does this protect Americans? If it does, we should be strong. And actually, another way of conceiving what I'm saying, I'm speaking theoretically, but Reagan referred to it as peace through strength. And actually, I think Donald Trump's foreign policy is very much what I'm describing, a non-interventionist hawk, where he understands that, and I think this is historically true, the best way to avoid war is being strong. That weakness and isolationism, I think, encourages war. So going back to...
What did you just say?
Regime change is being strong. That weakness and isolationism, I think, encourages war. So going back...
So much projection. It's like the same shit Israel does when they're like, they're like, Iran might get a nuclear bomb, and that's dangerous that they have a nuke. And it's like, you guys have them, and you lie about them. And then, you won't sign that thing that says you guys won't fucking spaz over shit. And also, you have the Samson plan, you know what I mean? Or whatever the Samson option and all that bullshit, which I want to get that book, but it was like $80. I don't know. Maybe I learn about that when the book gets on. Maybe let me see if the book's on Kindle before I learn about that super important knowledge. $80. Well, me not purchasing, that's the Andy option. No, what the fuck was it? What was it? Sorry. I'm fucking off today. I'm fucking sleepy. Doesn't seem very logical, Slav. Wait. You can avoid war by not getting involved in war. Yeah, that going back to the thing. Hey, Cellrat in the mix. What's up, brother? Yeah, going back to that thing. It just seems it's that like the fuck am I trying to say? I need more caffeine in me. I'm not zooted up enough. And I started off with a big breakfast, and I don't think that's the move. I think Big Red in the morning's better when Andy's hungry, because when Andy's hungry, he works harder. But anyway, you got that full belly. You're subdued. You're not ready to fucking stream your tits off. Oh no, but what the fuck was I gonna say? My apologies. I'm off today. I need more caffeine in me. And don't fucking hear my opinions about the Middle East till I've had my coffee. Say it. Wait, is Ted Cruz not a beard lord anymore? Oh, no, he doesn't look like it. FBS, fat bitch season? Is that what it is? Is it fat bitch season? No. It's similar to like the gaslighting Israel does. And then there's like, and these people are so talented at being like fucking psychopaths because he's like, I actually think isolationism. I think minding your own business is detrimental to, your well-being. You're like, that's never been a thing, Ted Cruz. You're being a rascal.
Back to regime change, where you started in Iran.
So just to make, I don't think I disagree with anything you've said.
Oh, full belly syndrome. Gotcha.
So we may not be that far apart, really, because you said that the single criterion for making decisions about America's foreign policy is America's national interest.
Yes.
That's it.
Yeah. Which is also America first. That's another way of putting that as well.
I think it's the definition of it.
Yeah.
It's hardly breaking news that the U.S. dollar has been gravely devalued. Entire system. Buy and secure non is very simple.
And
click the link below or visit itrustcapital.com to start today.
The question is, are we watching that now?
so I think we are. And from what you've said publicly, I think on Iran in particular, you and I disagree. And all right, let me contrast it when Obama was president. When Obama was president, you remember he talked about wanting to have military action against Syria.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time, I tried to keep an open mind to it. I said, okay, let me listen to the commander-in-chief, describe to me how this is in America's interest and what your plan is. And Bashar Assad was a bad guy.
I also, too, I think that's a retarded way to look at the world. Like, well, obviously you want to do things in America's interest, but there's like a point where it's like, what are we saying? What's the context of in America's interest? Because it's like, I don't know. I would like to get my groceries as cheap as possible. So it's in my, like, you could also twist that to be like, it's in my best interest to steal all the groceries. And then people will be like, well, that's theft. You're taking someone else's property. You're not allowed to do that. You're like, well, it's in my best interest. So, and it's like, you can create this fake construct to validate whatever the fuck you want. So it's like, no, you got to go back to the whole, like, well, no, it's like, do you have a right to do this? You know what I mean? It's like, and it's usually no. And also fucking so often when these wars break out and stuff, there are situations very often where, like, just talking to the different countries will alleviate tensions and come and bring forth a better solution.
He was killing his own citizens, and he had chemical weapons that were very dangerous. I could conceive of a commander-in-chief.
Wasn't the chemical weapon shit made up? Correct me if I'm wrong.
Laying out a plan.
Or at least there was like next to no proof of them.
And for, okay, we're going to go in and say, grab the chemical weapons and leave. Like, I could see that if there was a real threat to America and there was a plan to prevent that, I could see supporting that. So I wanted to hear what he had to say. And I listened both in classified briefings and public questioning. And number one, their public defense of it was incoherent. So John Kerry said, we're going to engage in an unbelievably small strike. I think that's a quote. I'm like, okay, and to do what? At the time, there were 9 major rebel Islamic groups in Syria. I'm like, okay, I agree, Bashar Assad's a bad guy. You topple him. And one of the 9 other groups takes over. 7 of them were affiliated with radical Islamic terrorism. You had Al-Qaeda and Al-Nusra. I'm like, wait, how is it better to have lunatics who hate us in charge? Assad's a bad guy, but I don't want worse guys in charge. Obama administration couldn't give an answer to that. And ultimately, when you press...
Also, why is it our job to be like, well, we have to go... It's like we don't have a good track record with helping these countries out. You know what I mean? Like, just look at Iraq and shit, where it's like, oh, democracy will sweep the nation. Not really, dude. It doesn't seem like a thing that was going to happen, man. You know what I mean? It's like, it's this American hubris that, oh, that's not in America's best interest. Also, he's a really bad guy. And da-da-da, we have to, and it's just like, brother. So we're going to, like... Not to sound like a fucking... I know everyone says shit like this, but it's like, we can't figure out our shit here. We're just going to go completely revamp a country. It's insane. It's an insane... You know what I mean? And it's funny, too, when people get mad because you say the shit that, like, oh, our foreign policy in the Middle East is run by Israel, and they get mad, and you go, dude, that at least has a bunch of logic behind it. I mean, besides the fact that they basically admitted to it and you can prove it, but... It's like there's a bunch of, like, just by sheer theory, there's a bunch of logic to it. It's like, take their version of it. Their version is like, yeah, we can just fucking We can just bomb and shoot these people into the face, until they accept Western democracy. And you're like, that's actually 1,000% less believable than the Israeli shit.
Pressed them, John Kerry in particular, I pressed, and he would say, well, we need to...
Slav, you're getting comfy. Calm down. Calm down. You think I'm Zog-pilled or whatever the fuck he said yesterday. You know the rules, Slav. Calm down.
Defend international norms. Like, what the hell's an international norm? I don't know what it is, but I'm not interested in putting U.S. servicemen and women in harm's way to defend one.
Amen.
So I opposed the Syria attack and opposed it vocally. And it was interesting. Rand and I agreed. Rand's a friend of mine. But we agreed with that position for different reasons. What I was asking is I think the question we should ask, how does this make America safer? The Obama administration couldn't give me an answer, so I opposed it. I think Iran is very different.
Let me ask what you think of how Syria wound up, because Bashar al-Assad now lives in Moscow.
Yeah.
He was taken out by our allies, and he's been replaced by...
Oh, yeah, Assad's not even... You guys didn't even, take those fucking dudes out. Nuts, though, dude.
By a radical Islamist who was affiliated with ISIS. So is that a win or no?
Unclear. Look,
Oh, wait, they
He was
did take...
taken out by our allies,
Oh, that is right. They did take out Assad.
and he's been replaced by a radical Islamist who was affiliated with ISIS. So is that a win or no?
unclear. Look, Syria's a mess, so I've consistently opposed.
But we had a secular leader in a...
They also, too, I think the other part that makes these guys psychopaths is the way they talk about this kind of stuff is almost akin to he ordered a turkey club and it's like you're working at a restaurant or a deli and he's like, yeah, he ordered a turkey club with bacon. I fucked up. I gave him just a regular turkey with cheese. It's just an easy, simple whoopsie. And you're like, yeah, but your whoopsie daisy, your whoopsie daisy brings back the slave trade to Libya and shit like that. It's what I mean? We should be talking about this differently. And he's like, yeah, no, I realized afterwards that was a bad thing.
A religious and ethnically diverse country. Now we have a religious extremist, Islamic religious extremist, who's overseeing the purge of Christians and Alawites. Is that better? That doesn't seem like a win.
One of the things you said is he was taken out by our allies. I don't think that's right. Israel didn't take Assad out. What happened, and I'll tell you.
What about Turkey?
Turkey didn't take him out. So it was interesting. I had a long...
How did Assad get kicked out? Yeah.
When Netanyahu...
I gotta give Tucker props, too. The, playing it stupid thing he does works really well. And I think it's a great tactic.
Netanyahu was in D.C. a couple of months ago. He and I sat down for a couple of hours. He's a good friend of mine. And we talked actually about Syria. He made an interesting point that I've not heard anywhere else, in that he said he believes what toppled Assad was when Israel took out Nasrallah. Nasrallah was the head of Hezbollah, and they took him out. And he made an interesting point. He said it's fascinating how a charismatic leader, and Bibi said, look, Nasrallah was a very effective terrorist leader. And when they took him out, that power base was supporting Assad. And that ultimately, in Bibi's analysis, removed the support from Assad and toppled him. But they weren't trying to take out Assad. My view now, I don't know.
So you don't think that, and I don't, it is very confusing, and I don't know that anyone really knows all the details, but you don't think that Israel or Turkey, our NATO ally Turkey, played any role in toppling Assad?
I don't know. I don't know that they did. Look, my understanding of that, they clearly...
This goes back to my whole thing where I say, we were talking about it yesterday with the dancing Israelis thing. Just as a quick little refresher, with the dancing Israelis thing, it was okay, they didn't have any pre-knowledge about 9/11. Let's accept that as reality. But what is also included in the official story is we had a bunch of Mossad agents in the country illegally spying on U.S. citizens. And you're like, yeah, so okay, they didn't know about 9/11 ahead of time. They didn't take part in the plan. Sure. I agree with all that. But we're still talking about Mossad agents illegally in the country spying on U.S. citizens. and like Israel, people fleeing to Israel, setting up fake businesses, and like, it's like the truth is still really bad. So like we talk like these senators like Ted Cruz, they try to be like, well, I don't know anything about that. It's like, well, you should. You should fucking know shit about the countries you're supporting attacking. You should know these things. You know what I mean? It's like, it's just funny. Like I'll bring up dudes, like we were joking about it on Panties the one day when I was talking about Scott Horton, and and I'm not just trying to call out Lemaire, but like Lemaire's being like, why is Scott Horton the smart guy? And a part of it's just because he doesn't like it. Like Lemaire not a fan of his vibe, and Nate was making funny jokes, being like, "Oh, this guy's a foreign policy expert." And it's just funny watching him have a big cowboy hat and a chain wallet. And you have these dudes, like people kind of like who aren't in the know roll their eyes at a dude like Scott Horton, but Scott Horton's just a dude who lives in Texas who fucking reads every day, and he knows like. That dude's like 10, 20, 30, 40, 100 times more knowledgeable than Ted Cruz is on the fucking issues. It's like, brother, it's not even if we look at what you're saying, glass half full, it's still bad. What the fuck's going on? Agree to disagree. See, that's where you're missing what I was getting at, Slav. I was doing a like thought. I was setting out parameters to give context to sort of make my point. But you're not good at listening all the time.
Clearly took out Nasrallah and Hezbollah. They've decimated Hezbollah, but Hezbollah was waging war on them. So decimating Hezbollah was very good for Israel and very good for America, too. I mean, Hezbollah hated us. I would put Assad in the category of an unintended consequence, and whether it's good or bad, I don't know. I think time will tell.
For the United States.
Yeah, for the United States. I think time will tell the new leadership there. You're right to be concerned. Let me step back and let's talk regime change generally. I mentioned Syria. I also oppose the Iraq War. I think the Iraq War was a serious mistake. And we have a pattern, and going back to this binary of the interventionist and the isolationist. The interventionists advocate over and over again, there's a bad guy, there's a dictator who's doing bad things to his people, and they say, let's go topple him. And you have dictators in the Middle East who are killing radical Islamic terrorists. We come in and topple them. The radical Islamic terrorists take over, and they start killing Americans. In my view, how the heck does that help us? Like, Saddam Hussein was a horrible human being. He murdered and tortured people. Unequivocally bad guy. But it got much worse after we toppled him. And you ended up having ISIS rise up. I mean, that was the cause of ISIS, was toppling Saddam Hussein. Same thing in Libya. You had Gaddafi, another horrible guy, that under Obama, we toppled him. And you ended up having radical Islamic warlords taking over. And so, and it's the question I asked in Syria. Okay, well, what's the plan? And how is this good or bad for the United States? And so I don't think... With Iran, I view Iran as very different from Iraq.
But up to that point, you say we disagree. I don't hear really anything. I'm not quite sure what happened in Syria, but I don't know. So, right. But other than that, I don't hear anything I disagree with at all.
Yeah.
It sounds like we're in a complete agreement. I wonder, though, is there a successful regime change that the United States supported that you're aware of in the last 100 years?
Sure. Defeating the Soviet Union and the Soviet Union collapsing, winning the Cold War. That was the most consequential step for U.S. national security interests of our lifetimes.
Okay.
And
so you would classify that as a regime change that we affected?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Look, you and I are in my office. We're sitting next to a painting of Reagan in front of the Brandenburg Gate. And up top are the words, "Tear down this wall," in German, in the style of the graffiti.
Right.
And I think those are the most important words any leader has said in modern times. And if you look at how Reagan waged the Cold War, and Reagan is very much my model for how to, I actually think how Reagan took on the Soviet Union is exactly how we should take on China. Now, starting from the point, look, Reagan was not an interventionist. In 8 years, the biggest country Reagan ever invaded was Grenada. he was very reluctant to use U.S. military force.
He didn't respond after the 83 barracks bombings.
You're right.
Beirut.
Yeah, he made the judgment that the risk exceeded the benefits. And that's a very rational decision to make. And it's reflected. Trump has made those same decisions where he is willing to use military force, but he very much asks, okay, is this good or bad for America? Does this endanger U.S. servicemen and women or not? And one of the points about the Cold War, look, nobody in their right mind wanted a shooting war between America and the Soviet Union, the two biggest nuclear powers on Earth.
I think the most annoying part with dudes like this, where he's like, you just have to have like a fake conversation. It's all similar to the fact that it's like when we're talking about Israel and nukes, they just all have to like pretend that we don't know Israel has a bunch of nukes. So it's like, it goes back. It's like their whole crux is like Iran can't have a nuke. And you're like, okay. So like this country who you've been claiming since the early 90s, late 80s, early 90s that they've been getting a nuke. You're claiming that they're going to get a nuke. And you've been wrong about it every year. You've been wrong about it every year. So I would guess even like if they, and like the way that they've interacted with the U.S. from, I still got a lot to learn about that, but from what I've realized, it's like they're definitely on the vibe of diplomacy. I mean, that was like the big thing on this last one where it's like they thought they were going to have diplomatic talks. That's how they got fucking sideswiped, and that's how Israel got the advantage on them for a minute. So like, they're a country that has not gotten a nuke. They're a country that is looking to, they're signing treaties. They're looking to be diplomatic. They're looking to, and the big threat to America is that they might get a nuke, when also a shit ton of other countries that have way more of a reason to hate us and shit like that. I guess maybe I could be wrong about that. It's just like, I don't know. It just seems like you don't have a lot to justify it's like so much money going over there, all this money wasted, all that shit. It just doesn't, it seems like you got a pretty fucking weak argument, Ted. Guess who had foreknowledge of the Beirut embassy bombing?
Firing bullets at each other is really unhealthy for human beings. Same thing is true with China. Nobody with any sense says, hey, let's go to war with China. That's really dumb, and a whole lot of people could die. But the Cold War showed we've got lots of tools short of sending the Marines to fight against a regime. And one of the most important tools is the bully pulpit. And so when I say I support regime change, I actually think just...
Is Iran not allowed to have nukes because they would for sure use them on Israel? No, Iran's not allowed to have nukes because that's the justification Israel needs to fuck them up. They basically wanted to topple all the like major powers in the Middle East so they can be top dog. And Iran, because I was listening to, Dave was talking about it in that clip I played for you guys yesterday when I went to go get some more coffee and stuff like that. It was the beginning of one of his the last episode of Part of the Problem, not the one with Scott Horton, the other one they just put out, where he's like, we're at war with Iran, and he's telling the whole story about Israel using the U.S. government to like topple the Middle East. And then, Iran's because here's the thing. They set out their reasons why they hate Iran. If Iran keeps coming in and going like, yo, we'll play ball because we don't want to get in a fucking fight, Israel has to keep moving the goalpost to now figure out a way to get them in a fight, to sort of push them to a point so they can try to get them to spaz so they can justify going in and taking out Iran.
Simply laying out what the Ayatollah does. And so
when a chick accused a guy of doing that thing to her, even when he didn't, and it comes to light years after a prison sentence for the innocent guy, people say he should be allowed to do that to the accuser chick. Iran at this point definitely deserves a nuke. Yeah, I mean, they've earned at least one with the... I think we should work to a point of denuclearizing, but then it's like, and then you have like fucking... the fuck am I trying to say? And then you have, you saw what happened when Libya got rid of their nukes. We fucking took them out and acted like a bunch of fucking cucks. Shit like that. So, you know, it's, I don't know, man. It's like, I was hearing Dave talk about it on, Love You Big Red, buy a food scale, try not to be a troll. Try not to be a troll? Stop cultivating mass? Oh, Jesus Christ. Well, I got to be honest. I don't like the comments, but they are good for me because it's the only thing making me work on not being a fat sack of shit. But that was brutal. I gotta stop reading comments. Yo, I need another cup of coffee. Let me just play you this real quick because Shia LaBeouf's the fucking man. I know he's probably had a Me Too or something, but I haven't read the details, so he's innocent to me. Or no, he had a weird thing. I don't remember what it was, but Shia LaBeouf is my dream guest, weirdly. I'm not even like, I don't know, there's something about him. I think he's one of the best celebrities at doing interviews. But anyway, let me throw this up real quick, and I'll be right back.
A guy who's got power, he can make the entire industry flex. Like, he'll make them all turn based on a...
Did you like the movie?
No, but
Okay.
but I love him, you know?
He's yeah.
Yeah, and we fought all through the thing because it wasn't my dream, and I was trying to learn his dream, which you're always trying to do when you're on a movie. You're trying to learn your guy's dream. Sometimes those dreams aren't easily accessible. Sometimes you feel like you're not old enough to get to the dream. With me and him, it felt like that. It felt like, oh, you know I don't know about, you know, because I'm a baby and you done lived a life, you know? So I would acquiesce to him. But I remember... He could make the industry move, you know, because he had that kind of power. And then I look at his accomplishments, and then I look at Dave's accomplishments, and I don't see this drastic divide. I feel like, you know, I respect the stuff Dave did as much as I respect the stuff Francis did, but Francis had the shot to get to the audience. They kind of made a clear path for him. You know, he was like the darling of the industry. Right? Yeah. And so... I don't know how many resident geniuses you boys have, but I don't have any, you know?
Yeah.
The fact that I know Dave feels like some kind of miracle. So then it was like, oh, well, if I could just work on Dave's stuff forever, that would be a dream come true.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so then it was like, how do we get Dave a channel? How do you get Dave his own Dave Mamet channel? You know? That's how the conversation
They
started.
dragged me into it. So what we discovered is you don't need Hollywood. You don't need a bunch of money. You need some talent. You need an idea. And you need a fucking telephone.
Funny to hear you talk about talent because that's very funny to hear you talk about talent. Anybody who's a David Mamet fan, talent's not a big David Mamet word. Persistence. You know, like just like grinding, throwing water at the same fucking mark on the stone for long enough, and eventually it'll happen, I think. Even with you, because I feel like with you, it's like I have to be careful. I can't really tell you all the way how I feel. I respect you too much. You know what I mean? I kind of have to, through Evan, because Evan and him have something I didn't have. You know, I'm not spending every weekend all the time, you know, with Dave like that. So Evan was good at translating things that I couldn't, like, you know, like I would just come off too thirsty. I think I would scare you because I'd be too ambitious, too thirsty. Because when I say stuff like, Dave, I'll do anything you ever want to do. I think you're the greatest writer. It almost sounds like bullshit.
No, it's not bullshit. Listen, the first moment,
No, he goes, "This is not bullshit. I am the greatest."
Hey, facts.
He knew.
Facts.
No.
Best response ever.
Listen, from the first moment, we had a mutual friend who eventually sold both of us out. And my mutual friend was having a lunch with Shia. And I'd always admired Shia's work very, very much. And I sat down and my mutual friend says, "Oh, sit down, Shia LaBeouf, Dave Mann." I say, "Hi, Shia LaBeouf, why I so admire you." And Shia says, "That's not necessary."
Huh.
And it was fucking shocking. Wow. It's like, it's fucking shocking. It's like I saw into who this wonderful man is in a second. I'm a human being, you're a human being. It's a pleasure to meet you. You remember that?
Yeah. What's the movie called?
Oh, Henry Johnson. HenryJohnsonMovie.com. That's how you get it.
Henry Johnson. Oh, it's out now.
It's out right.
Everyone can watch it now.
Yeah.
And then can you give us a brief synopsis of what it's about? Or?
I mean, Dave would be better at it. The way I see it, it's just like...
these two lifelong friends, an old guy and an old woman, they've been high school sweethearts and they've both grown old together. But they meet again and their lives seem to be older, but they go on a road trip. And I'm kidding.
What fucking movie? No, that's not our movie. There's some other thing going on in his head. That's not the thing we made together.
As he said it, I was like, this isn't it.
No, it's about like empathy. It's about like overdosing on empathy. If I was going to put it in a sentence, that's what I read when I read it. It's about overdosing on empathy. It's about how empathy can actually fuck you fully if you overdose.
Or like, you sometimes, the dog eating trade in China. I'm just giving you an example of empathy. What I think the movie's about. Hold on.
Wait, we're getting a dog eating now?
No, just let me see me through. See me through.
He hasn't eaten breakfast yet.
Yeah.
Fucking hungry.
Yeah. And it's like, I hate these people that, do this to these kind animals, and then I go to China, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right? And I'm like, oh my God, look at this puppy. And the puppy goes, and eats my face.
Right.
Yeah,
Is it
like that.
about that?
Just
Yeah,
like
thing.
that. Just like that.
How do you think about? Yeah.
Am I right or no?
No.
Yeah. So so we did this thing as a play, and we're doing it as a movie, and it's about a guy who is so compassionate that he ruins everything around him, and everyone takes advantage of him. He ends up going to prison, and he ends up getting his life changed by the boss Khan over there, and then some shit happens.
Wow.
Some shit happens.
Yeah.
Pull up the site just so we have it.
Yeah.
For everybody.
What if this shit happens? You get like a little fondled or what?
What do you mean, me?
Yeah.
No. You mean, you went right there, huh? It could have been 5,000 things.
That's the movie I want to see. Anyway,
Okay, how
Henry
long,
Johnson.
Shia, how long, when you're done filming this, how long does it take you to kind of clear your head out of it?
Well, I never done a play, so I run these lines in my shower still.
You do?
Wow.
Oh yeah, they're so tattooed to your head. I don't know. I mean, I never prepped anything like that. Lines never really mattered to me. And now, after working with Dave, they kind of, I don't know, they don't matter to him either. I didn't know that walking in though. Walking in, I thought you better get every fucking comma.
Right.
Well, but see, that's the trick. Is the best thing in the world if you're rehearsing a play is tell everybody, show up learning your lines. Don't show up if you're not letter perfect. And most actors don't know that anymore because they've been badly trained and badly rehearsed and they want to sit down and talk about where they went to school and what their character had for lunch and all this bullshit.
It's true.
So Shia, because he don't know any better, knows better than any of them. Just show up learning the fucking lines. Because if the actors show up in a rehearsal late day one, knowing their lines, what do? You
Nothing.
block the play. It takes you 3 days, and then you put it on.
Yeah.
That's it.
Do you say anything with like someone like me, right? I don't know my lines ever. You know what I mean?
Say what?
I never know my lines.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but would you yell at me?
No, I'd say learn your lines.
Oh, that's it.
And you would.
No, he wouldn't.
No, you would. Yeah. Yes, you would. I'm telling you, Bobby, you would. And you'd be great.
Even the magic of Mamet couldn't get this guy.
No, I
fucking
think
lines.
the both of you. I think the both of you be great.
Well,
I mean,
wait a second, but you're a stand-up comic.
Yes.
You say, like, wait a second, two guys go into a...
Whorehouse.
Whorehouse.
Yeah, of course, it's a
Yeah.
whorehouse.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
You're going to grow up on the
bar.
The bar. Yeah, well, you got to know your lines, right?
Gotta know your lines.
Oh, I got.
If you're telling jokes, you got to know your lines.
Okay, yeah.
well,
I
not
gotta
even
know.
lying, but you memorize the bit. You know what I mean?
But no, we memorize where we need to get to, right?
Yeah.
So it's like
Exactly.
the words around it. As long as we can get to the joke,
Yeah.
what actually makes it funny,
Yeah.
that's fine. But you guys do line by line, like word by word, right?
Yeah.
Like, I couldn't just go
Only because it's better. If I could ad lib, if I could ad lib better lines, I would.
Yeah.
And have on every other show.
Yeah.
But when you're
With
here,
him, of course. It's
No,
like Aaron Sorkin, him. Yeah, you don't. Yeah.
There's no need to help.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
understand. Yeah.
Ryan, speaking of counter pressure and the degree to which it may or may not exist in the West Wing and in the Republican Party, let's transition to this next block where we're going to start here with Lindsey Graham on Fox News yesterday, making a statement that then reverberated across X on, and particularly with people who are typically allies of Donald Trump, who are influential voices on the right. So let's first roll Lindsey Graham on Fox News and then get into the reaction that it set off.
Can you guarantee that? Can President Trump in any form, can you make the commitment that this would not lead to a longer war?
I can guarantee you that if the Ayatollah gets a nuclear weapon, he will use it. I believe that with all my heart and soul. So the men and women who serve, they're the ones going, not people answering a poll. And if you ask them, would you be willing to risk your life to stop the Ayatollah from having a nuclear weapon? All of them would say yes, because it makes their country, our country, safer. So we live in a world where you've got to confront problems. You want to avoid World War III? Learn the lessons from World War II. People in World War II appeased Hitler to the point that it got so much out of hand, we had a world war and 60 million people got killed. So we live in a world where you pay now or you pay later. I hope it's eliminated. I would like to see this regime fall, but I'm going to leave it up to the president as to what to do and when to do it. But I do know this. If we don't take out their nuclear program now, we'll all regret it. We're very close. Be all in, Mr. President, in helping Israel finish the job, and let's see where we're at after we neutralize their nuclear program.
So it goes without saying that Charlie Kirk is obviously very close to Donald Trump, very close to the White House, and particularly close to Donald.
All right, sorry about that, boys. God damn, how long was I gone for? That coffee was was being way too complicated for me, and I don't know why. But I'm back. Ooh, and Slav's chatting.
I spend a lot of time. I speak to Iranian dissident groups. I speak out against human rights abuses. I think.
Are we arguing about nukes? Israel will for sure use a nuke if Iran gets one. Well, they've said that, right? With the Samson option. Don't let your dreams be dreams. Big Red getting some big head. I was just about to say he'd be slapping cheeks right now. Or are they slapping him? I would love to get taken out by cheek, dude. If it went down on my death certificate, death by cheeks, brother, that'd be the life. Not everyone deserves nukes. In 1994, South gave up their nukes. Yeah, I mean, it's best to have no nukes, I guess.
Shining a light on the depravity of leaders is a really powerful tool that America has.
Should we limit?
They don't. I mean, it's a powerful tool. They don't utilize it. I think we've got a lot of our own depraved leaders. It's impressive how sorry, I was pulling up Twitter to check something and this popped up and I had to laugh. There's a new thing where people with anime girls at their profiles post very racist and anti-Semitic memes, but I got to be honest, dude, when the racisming just right, racism can be pretty fucking funny. And I don't like people who can't acknowledge that. But either way, what was I saying? Yeah, no, it's the one thing I always love to point out. It's like whenever you're in the vicinity of a pro-Israeli conversation or argument, it's like pretty impressive how easy it is for people to be disingenuous and or lie.
Our activity to that?
It depends. Again,
because the U.S. government pays opposition groups, militarized opposition groups in Iran to overthrow the government. We've done it in a lot of different places, as you know. I'm not saying it's bad, but that's very different from what you're describing. You're saying we're making a moral case, as we did for 7 years with the Soviets. Our system works, yours doesn't.
Yep.
And I think we made a credible case for that, and we beat them over 70 years economically.
And that was a huge part of it.
Right. I think everyone would agree that was the main part of it. We didn't beat them in Vietnam or North Korea.
The main part of it, but it was tied to a military buildup. So I think it was two things. It was, one, the clarity. So Reagan came in, and he described the Soviet Union as an evil empire.
Right.
And all of the intelligentsia in D.C., all the Democrats, all the media, they're like, what a horrible thing to say. You can't say that. Reagan went to the United Kingdom, and he said, Marxism, Leninism will end up on the ash heap of history. People were horrified. They asked him, all right, what's your strategy in the Cold War? He said, very simple, we win, they lose. And that was all viewed as sort of a Philistine simplicity. And I think it was exactly right. And laying that out, speaking, do you know the backstory behind the Berlin Wall speech?
Yeah, I do. Yes.
You probably know Peter Robinson, who was a speechwriter.
Yes.
So 3 times the State Department deleted those words from that speech. And 3 times Reagan wrote it back. And the State Department argued, they said, Mr. President, you can't say this. This is too bellicose. This is too provocative. And my favorite, they said, this is too unrealistic. The Berlin Wall will stand till the end of time. And Reagan said, look, this is the whole point of the speech. And less than 3 years after Reagan gave that speech, the Berlin Wall was torn to the ground. And it wasn't knocked down by American Army tanks. We didn't shoot missiles at it. It was shining truth and light that tore it down. It was also...
You see that? Shining truth and light? Like, you see how... It's wild, man. You see how, like, you know, in the context of talking about Israel, or talking about, yeah, we shine truth through it. And you're like, yeah. You know, it's like, it's kind of disorienting, because it, like, throws you the fuck off. And you're like, what are we doing here, man? Like, you say these words, and it doesn't feel like what should be happening. You know what I mean? Like, or it's like you say these words and I go, they don't connect with anything else that's happened in life. What the fuck's happening? It's like the gaslighting is nuts. I got to be honest. I got to be fucking honest. It's kind of nuts.
Rebuilding the American military, it was what was then pejoratively called Star Wars, where the Soviet Union, their economy couldn't match our military buildup, and it bankrupted them. That's an example of peace through strength.
I wonder, I mean, is there anybody who was alive in 1989 who wouldn't trade that America for the one we live in now? There's not one person, I don't think.
Oh, sure.
But, I mean, just the basic metrics, debt, suicide rate, life expectancy, it was... I wonder why, after that victory, America didn't thrive in the way that we thought that it would, that I thought that it would. My family was involved in that. I mean, we were very focused on it in my house. Like,
yeah.
We won. And I wonder 2 things. Why didn't the United States kind of declare victory and make some sort of arrangement with Russia that allowed, like, mutual prosperity rather than continuing a Cold War? And second, I wonder why the United States didn't get a lot better. Like, why don't we have better infrastructure? Why don't we have fewer homeless? Why do we have all these drugs? Like, if we won, why does our country look like this? I walked across from Union Station this morning, as you do, I'm sure, every day. And all these people lying in the street and sleeping outside. It's like, what is that?
We're sorry to say it, but this is not a very safe country. Walk through Oakland or for what self. I have one. It's Sportsman's
forces in our
local Sportsman's Warehouse to get yours today. Byrna.com.
Look, there's no doubt there are really dangerous forces in our society. Some of
this shit's annoying too, because, like, people really underestimate how... I'm not gonna sit here and say, like, oh, you could solve the homeless crisis, but like I don't know, like, legitimately someone who, because people, like, when it comes to the homeless conversation, people think, like, oh, your rent gets raised and now you can't pay that, so that's why you live outside, and you're like, that's not, you know what I mean? Like, that's not, it's like, I have immense sympathy for the people, but the vast majority of the time, it's just, you know, you basically give in to drug addiction. And I'm not, once again, I've never been addicted to heroin. I can't imagine how strong the pull is. But let's just, you know, I have a lot of sympathy with just facts are facts. It's a lot of times it's like you've succumbed to the drug addiction and you've decided that you'd rather fucking, you know, and you've lost all support system and everything, and living outside seems just like living outside and doing heroin just seems like a better option. You know what I'm saying? So, like, and then, like, you know, the mental state you have to be, and then mix that with the fact that, like, a lot of homeless people you meet are, like, oddly entitled. But anyway, I could go on a rant about this. Like, I don't know what, like, you have to do exactly to fix a human being who just is choosing heroin outside over, you know, being productive and shit like that. But what I do know is, like, if the city actually gives a fuck, like, I saw it in Austin when they did South by Southwest. Dude, the homeless problem was crazy. Like, where we are in Austin, there's, what is it, the Creek in the Cave. Let me pull it up for you. So if you go to, oh yeah, here it is. Perfect. So if you go to the Creek in the Cave, this is the Creek in the Cave right here. Wait, let me move it so you guys can see it. Yeah, this is the creek in the cave right here, and then you go down here, and then they're right here and right here are, yeah, you see it right here, parking lots. There's 2 parking lots right here under the bridge, and for the longest time, there would just be like, at each parking lot, you'd see like 10 homeless people just hanging out. They'd be like guiding you into fucking the parking spot, thinking like that's how they deserve a fucking dollar or some shit like that. They'd be guiding you into the parking spot, and then there'd be like up and down here on the sidewalk, you'd see like the whole way up, you'd see homeless people like sleeping on the ground in tents, stuff like that. So it was just, and I got to give it to the homeless people. The homeless people under the bridge were chill. I never ran into a situation where, now I'm also too, I'm a 6 foot tall, 300 plus pound dude. Those guys aren't like gonna threaten me the same type of way as if you were like a small girl or whatever the fuck. But I do have to give the homeless people props. They were oddly chill. But regardless, South by Southwest rolls around, all the money comes into town. They want people to have a good impression of Austin. All that shit rolls into town. You walk out and magically there's 0 homeless people. So what I'm saying is from a functionality standpoint, a lot of these little things are super fucking like, I talk shit about government and how it's like the least efficient thing, and when you're trying to like central plan a certain type of, when you're trying to central plan an economy and a society, you're going to do this one thing and you're going to do a certain thing, and it's going to leave a certain thing that would have been the better decision. If you would have known that was the better decision if you had market forces, yada, yada, yada. All that aside, like there's little things just like, fucking filling in potholes and making sure homeless people aren't just fucking everywhere and all this other shit. And like, the like little shit where it's like, oh, it's not dirty everywhere you go. And it's, all this other crazy stuff. All that stuff's easy to fucking figure out. And it's this weird, Tucker's been getting at this for a while, been listening to the show for a minute. He's been getting at this fucking thing for a while where it is like, there seems like there's so much energy to just send the money. There's so much energy to take our money, send it out of the country, take a bunch of people who don't live here, bring them into the country, give them the money. Like there's all this energy to just give everyone but Americans who live here and work hard any actual, like, bang for their buck, and it's just why, like, all these arguments are just so exhausting at this point. When you've just seen it over and over and over again, and everything's more expensive and everything's not chill, and, a lot of stuff sucks ass. You're like, brother, if Iran's just talking shit, I don't give a fuck. You know what I mean? If they're just talking shit, can we keep the money here and fucking figure this shit out? Because there's a lot of things, problems. I'm so fucking out of it today. There's a lot of things, problems. I'm retarded. There's a lot of things going on here. There's a lot of problems going on here that are pretty easily solvable. It's just that our government is completely worried about anyone but the American people.
Some of it is politics and some of it is culture. And one of the mistakes people make in politics is thinking everything is politics. So the political answer, which I happen to believe,
Tucker's Alp nicotine pouches are made in India. I believe that. That was the nicotine pouch thing was yeah. Dude, I'm so out of it today. You know what? Remind me not to eat fucking a big ass breakfast before these ever again. I don't podcast good with a full belly. Oh my God. I can't think straight. Yeah, no, wait, what were you saying? Oh yeah. I believe that. No, that's my only beef with Tucker Carlson. He was, I've talked about it before, so I'll try to keep it short, but he was like a huge, 20 milligram pouches? Don't do that. No, you should not be doing 20 milligram fucking Zyn knockoff pouches. That's psychotic. That's actually psychotic, Slav. Now I get why you're a fucking retarded in so many other places because you're a dude willing to put a 20 milligram pouch in your fucking mouth. That's crazy, dude. I don't know how you don't pass out. No, that was my only beef with Tucker because I try not to overanalyze. Well, I'm not. That's not true at all. I'm the best at overanalyzing things. But, like, I thought it was indicative of, I thought it was a thing I saw that was indicative of his broader character, possibly. Now, I will say Tucker's great the majority of the time. It's just occasionally you see a thing where you're like, you got bitchy girl energy. But, like, it was, he's selling Zins. He's basically supporting Zins, and he's going about it, and this is what I noticed a lot of, like, Zin people do. People who are just Zin people, not people who smoke cigarettes and then switch to Zin, or they're like, I'd rather be doing something else, but I'm just going to do the Zin because it's the No, I'm talking about people who start at Zin. People who start at Zin are like nicotine phonies to me, and they annoy the shit out of me, because then you see people like Tucker Carlson, who's like, he's got that clip of him on fucking Theo, he's got that clip of him on Theo talking about Zins. Tucker, Zin, Theo. Is this what it is? Oh, yeah, here we go.
But I really enjoyed nicotine so much. It's just added a lot to my life. And then I also dipped. I love dipping. But at a certain point, I turned 50. When I turned 50, I was like, can't dip. Like, the dentist is against it. Girls don't like it, actually, even if they
do sometimes.
I've never met. That's not true.
Yeah, I'm on Tucker's side on that one. I don't know if there's a girl who likes. Well, like, you can get a real country girl probably, but
I was on a fishing trip in Idaho, in Sun Valley, Idaho, and I had dinner at a restaurant there called the Pioneer, the Pio. She was really pretty. She's like pretty. It's like, I think I'm all in. So
many people like are. You sleep with one in or no?
I don't, because I don't want to choke on it. But seconds.
Dude, I'm sorry. I'm just skipping ahead. There's this like clip where he's like, dude, it gives you a fucking boner.
Increases mental acuity, raises your.
But anyway, yeah. Here we go. Yeah.
Who will?
Oh, smoking rate of any state. You make me nervous. I'm gonna grab another Zin. Do you
Put
mind?
one in.
I'm gonna.
God, I almost want to do one, but I just don't know how I'll do with it.
Why don't we wait until we're about to close, because things may happen to you that you're not ready for.
Okay.
But
it gets wild, huh?
It gets wild in a subtle way. It kind of grows on you. It's not like doing cocaine.
Okay.
It's not like firing up the pipe and
yeah,
you know what I mean, blast off or anything like that. It's a much more subtle, organic. You just all of a sudden you feel good.
Yeah.
Then you feel the power rising from your central nervous system, and then sort of going outward through all the nerve endings down to the tips of your fingers. And then up here, it just starts crackling the synapses.
Damn.
You just make connections that you hadn't before. I know I'm making it sound like ayahuasca. It's a lot more subtle than that. Once you try this, you're going to get a lot richer.
Zin? Is that their advertising campaign?
Zin is not a sin. That's the advertising campaign.
Really?
Yeah, but the truth is Zin is a powerful work enhancer and also a male enhancer, if you know what I mean.
Really?
Yeah.
Talking erection, huh?
Yep. There's no election fraud with Zin.
Wow. Yeah. I don't know if I want a Zin support.
Yeah, and then he does a whole thing where he's like, and he like slams his hand, and he's like, that's not a thing, dude. The fuck are you talking about? I mean, maybe Tucker comes off as a dude who's been smoking tobacco for a while, and it's like I'm just but it's like, it didn't matter at the time. And it's like, it's shit, but it was like, oh, Tucker's being retarded. Who gives a fuck? What's going on with the news? But it's just like, yeah, no, I've done a Zin. I've had many Zins. It's just, it's like every other, it's like every other tobacco thing. You're like, you do it and you go, this is fine, but a cigarette would be better. It's like, what are we talking about, dude? And we all know the vibe of fucking tobacco. If you don't do it for a while, the first time you do it, you're like, fuck. And then it just becomes normal incredibly quickly. So, like, that's, I'm just, as a guy who's smoked a few cigarettes in my life, I just go, oh, Tucker's just making things up. He's just making things up. But it's fine. He's being a silly little goose. Let him go on and be fucking awesome for the rest of the 98% of the time. But then Zin hit him with like a cease and desist because they were like, but it also seemed fair because it was like a legal thing where they were like, yo, stop telling people it gives you huge boners and other shit. And I think there was something in there where they were being like lame or whatever. They were just being lame. But at the same time, Tucker gets his feelings hurt, and then he goes on this whole campaign. He's like, actually, if you like Zins, you might be a gay guy. And you're like, oh, so you're literally going about this like a fucking girl. You know, and I like Tucker a lot, and I respect Tucker, but you got to be honest. Like, I get it. You could say fuck Zin, but I would respect you more if you were like, dude, I love Zin, but they were being fucking bitches, so it's fuck, you know, Zin are the ops. I love Zin. I wish they weren't like this, but they're the fucking ops, so fuck Zin. It's like, no, he makes up shit and goes, actually, raises your estrogen and, you know, lowers your testosterone, and you're actually a fucking gay pussy if you take these. And you're like, oh, I thought they gave you super hard boners, Tuck. You know what I mean? You liar. So that really, I just remember seeing that, and it really irritated me. I go, you're just a fake tobacco guy. You're a fake nicotine guy. You just know it, like, will read well with the conservative, like, teenagers and 20-year-olds that watch you. You're a fake nicotine guy, Tucker, and that's fine. Just don't act like Zins give you a boner and now magically you hate them. And then, just the icing on the cake is you telling me earlier they're made in India. It's like, oh, okay. So, you know. But that being said, I enjoy pretty much everything else Tucker does. So that was just one thing that always, and I think I got mad because I like Tucker so much. I fuck with Tucker so much. So that definitely broke my heart watching that happen.
Is we went much further down the road of liberalism. You look at Bill Clinton, who inherited the peace dividend of the Cold War being over and moved us more to the left, and then Obama accelerated it a lot. And so there are lots of bad economic policies, but I also think they're...
Tucker making vape reviews soon. Nick DePaul and Tim Dillon do cigarette streaming perfectly. I should do one before Andy tries in the foreskin. I will. You know, it rhymes, so it must work. Cigar bros are insufferable, dude. That's what I want to do when I have the money to upgrade the studio. I want to be a fucking Daily Wire dickhead. I want to be a fucking Daily Wire dickhead and just, dude, these guys suck so much ass. Offensive continues. Well, I should listen to Ben Shapiro. I think he'd be a good way to get the other perspective of like psychotic. Get the perspective of like psychotic neocons right now. But no, I feel like there's a Daily Wire thing. Like, oh, here we go. Is this it? I feel like there's a Daily Wire thing of like just four dickheads sitting around a table smoking cigars. Yes, here it is. Like, dude, look at them. Look at these. It's just so fucking irritating, man. This is what gets me. Is like all these dudes, you know what I mean? Like they get like, oh, this shit's so irritating. Yeah, just we sit around with a cigar and it's like you're cosplaying. The vast majority of you guys are like metrosexual gay dudes who are cosplaying as real men. You know, it's shit like, and that's what drives me up a fucking wall about these guys because it's all such base level. They're like, yeah, no, I actually have I have a nice suit and I have a cigar and I'm drinking some whiskey and I'm like, I'm a fucking big boy. I'm a big boy. You know what I mean? And then it's like, all right, what do you guys advocate? Well, I think we should send all of our money to this foreign country so they can, you know, bomb a bunch of kids and stuff in other countries. And then Matt Walsh isn't necessarily doing that. I'll give him credit, but he also takes the bitch route of not being direct about what he clearly thinks. But all the other guys over at the Daily Wire, it's like, yeah, we should just give them money, let them murder women and children, run cover for them in the most fucking embarrassing way possible. But they get to be the more distinguished, high-class gentlemen and shit like that. And you're like, it just drives me... The fake manly man shit drives me fucking nuts because they're always some of the biggest pussies in the fucking world. It's like, oh, yeah, you know what... Because it's like, you don't see me sitting here. Like, I think I'm 10 times less embarrassing than any of these guys, but you don't see me sitting here being like, I'm the epitome of masculinity. Like, I think it's better... As you know, if a kid grow up and was, you know, a nice guy like me versus a fucking cunt like the other dudes I fucking just brought up, I would probably be preferable. But like, am I sitting here being like, oh, I'm Andy Malfrina, comedian, streamer, podcaster? And that's what all these guys are, minus the comedian, because they think they know comedy. They're not fucking funny, because the second one of their things get made fun of, they become worse than a goddamn fucking pink-haired liberal bitch and shit like that. So, it's like, dude, you're literally podcasters. You know what I mean? You're sitting around doing fucking talk shows and shit like that, which are fun and cool and a good time, but let's not sit here and just be like, oh, we're the manliest of men. You know what I mean? No, we all took fake jobs. It's because we want to like fucking talk and shit like that. I don't know. Maybe I'm too hard on myself in this, but like, it's just, I don't know. It's just irritating. They're all a bunch of like, well, half of them you hear them talk and they're like, oh, you're a closeted homosexual, which nothing wrong about that. But like, you know what's not manly is just your whole existence is being a liar. That's not very manly. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, I read some dude in a book said I have to like fucking eat pussy. So now that's why I eat pussy and pretend not to be gay. And you're like, oh, that's so manly, dude. That's so fucking manly. I don't know. I'm probably sounding like a fucking bitch. I'm focusing on them too much, but they drive me up a fucking wall. But I got completely sidetracked because I thought that would be, it'd be a solid move to go, it would be a solid move to be a fucking nice suit cigar wearing pussy. I think that would get me a lot of viewers.
Cultural things. The loss of faith,
I agree with all of
family.
That. I know what you're going to say, and I agree 100%. I bet there's not one word that I would disagree with. All I'm saying is, like, I think it's important to step back and ask.
But I actually think Russia has very little to do with it. So,
well, that's kind of the point that I'm trying to make, which is, like, we're all sort of focused on beating our adversaries abroad, but what is victory worth if our own country becomes what it is now? And maybe...
Yeah, Michael Knowles is a whole... Well, Michael Knowles is annoying. I don't know. I want to like get more in these spaces, but also I got to keep it a buck. I'm trying to not name call as much, but I got to like keep it a buck. Those guys suck so much. Like all the Daily Wire guys suck so fucking much. A lot of the conservatives too, because there's like that dude Oren something. I forget his fucking name, but it's like the who's the fucking guy? What's the new thing? Dark Enlightenment. He used to be Mentress Molebug. What's that fucking guy's name? I forget that guy's name. Mentress Molebug or something like that. Curtis Yarvin, that's right. Yeah, you see, and I'm not saying Curtis Yarvin's not intelligent, and I'm also too like I get where he's coming from because on his like Dark Enlightenment shit. Yeah, cause his like the really dumbed down version of his thing is like saying monarchy is. Andy, you'd like Perm Bit podcast? What's that? Burn Pit? Are you trying to say Burn Pit? Ooh, I can't type for shit. Is it Burn Pit or Burn? Burn. Oh, it is the Burn Pit. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, but there's a lot that goes into his philosophy, but I think the short the super dumbed down short version of it is like, well, the one thing I always hear him talk about is the thing that like monarchy is preferable democracy. And I've read Democracy the God That Failed by Hans Hermann Hoppe. I've heard the argument. There is an interesting argument. I don't know if it's 100% true that a monarchy would be better than a democracy. I don't think the evidence is there that it's like a sure thing. And I've seen a lot of interviews too about Curtis Yarvin where it's like, you know, oh, it would be just run like a corporation. And then it's like, okay, well, then we have to live in this world where, you know, then like I remember listening to him and whenever he would explain the corporation shit, it's like, oh, okay, so you're living in the la la land a lot of people do when they talk about corporations and businesses where, it's just about people who are hardworking and they're just looking out to get the best. The fuck was that? I just heard something. They're just looking out to get people the best bang for their buck, and they would just work hard to satisfy the consumer, which to me, and I've talked about this before, where I'm a bigger fan of capitalism, but I think it should be free market capitalism where the corporation doesn't get an unfair advantage from the government. So if your city or state or country is run like a corporation, the problem is it's well, I guess, this could be a whole fucking conversation, a whole other conversation, because it also too depends on like what's the freedom of movement like? Because if I can move from this country to that country easily, then yeah, I could see these countries being treated like a corporation. But realistically, the country is going to be run like a corporation the same way like a theme park is run, or a baseball or a sports arena is run like a corporation. Those are corporations, but there's a real, like, you ain't going in. Like, you're here. You're in our house. And it's like, you see the shit where it's like, oh, a beer that would be $2 in the fucking supermarket, a beer that would cost you $1.50 in the supermarket is going to cost you fucking $15 here, $18 here, something crazy like that. And it's because there's a real sense of like, what the fuck are you going to do? What are you going to do? And it's like, that's sort of and I think what irritates me is like, I'm not even saying Curtis Yarvin's I'm not saying Curtis Yarvin's dumb. I'm saying dudes like Curtis Yarvin and, what's the guy? God damn it. The Blaze, Oren something. Aaron Oren? I forget his name because he does the same thing Curtis Yarvin does. But yeah, you get a lot of these people who they talk mad shit, and this kind of correlates to the conservative stuff I was talking about too. They talk like, or no, is it Blaze TV? This guy's got a weird name where like you want to say it's Aaron, but it's actually like something bigger. The fuck is this guy's name? I think he's on the Blaze. But either way, I'll try to talk and look it up at the same time. But either way, the fuck's his name? It's bugging me now. Is he not on the Blaze? Yeah, this guy, Oren McIntyre. That's right. And I've listened to his show a bunch. And he's very intelligent. He's very smart. I've learned a bunch of things from listening to his show. I don't listen to it regularly, and it's the same thing with like Curtis Yarvin. I don't fucking agree with him, but I think he has some really interesting perspectives, so I get something out of listening to it. I get irritated too, and it's a similar thing with like the conservative guys where it's like those dudes talk so much shit, and then it's like, but yeah, it's like, what do you have to show for it? You know what I mean? It's like, they'll talk a bunch of shit on like libertarians and how it's like retarded and stuff like that, and it's just like, I mean, I don't know if you guys have to be like super fucking, I don't know if you guys have a place to talk shit. All these conservatives have these like high family values, cultural shit. And it's like, don't get me wrong, Trump's in office, so the vibe is a little bit different. We don't have to worry about all the woke bullshit the same way. But it's like, you're just like everything conservatives promote are just what Democrats would promote 10 years ago. So it's like, my whole thing is just like, the conservative people talk way more fucking shit than they even close to deserve. And it irks me. So it's why whenever you see this level of like distinguishedness and It's like, dude, you're not better than anyone else. I mean, it's like, dude, you saw what would happen. It's like they all act like they're fucking on a higher mental level or a more mature level or whatever. And then it's like the second, who the fuck was it? I remember when like Dylan Mulvaney came out. Dude, literally, it's like, so it's like one thing, and I can get on board with this. It's one thing if you're sitting there going like, you know, let's not try to promote this like trans shit to the youth. Let's be real about what this is. You know, you're welcome to be trans if you want, yada, yada, yada. But, you know, let's be real about what it is. All the stuff I've said before. But then when it's like, I don't know, dude, when you're also you're saying all that, and then you got Matt Walsh there being like, also, Dylan Mulvaney's like so fucking ugly. You're like, oh, so you're all bitchy women. Like, that's the thing that irks me is it's fine if you're all a bunch of, it's like, dude, they're all a bunch of nerds that sit around thinking about things and then talking into microphones. You know what I mean? It's a lot of that. It's a lot of reading, thinking, talking. And then you all have the nerve to act like you're better than anyone else. You know what I mean? Just I've actually, you know, if we're really going to run, it's like, I've actually read a bunch of things. It's like, dude, but if we really want to crunch the numbers, like, sure, you have a lot of influence over the world, but, you know, you compared to like a trucker, we can really debate how much good how much good one or the others brought into the world. But I'm getting sidetracked. That's a whole different conversation. I don't know. I'm not on today. I got to be perfectly honest. I am not on today. I don't feel good about myself. But we're here. The Blaze's only good thing is Dave Landau's Normal World and his producer Angela is Toit. Oh yeah, Landau's the fucking man. Landau's the man. I also too, I like the Blaze, and I like, you know, I'll take the conservative bullshit over the lefty bullshit any day of the week. I'm trying to look up Dave's co-host. But what's it called? Normal World? Yeah, I'll take a lot of the conservative bullshit over the left. Well, now, you know what? I need both. I got to be honest. I got to be perfectly honest. Is that Angela? One quarter black Gareth from Lotto Crowder. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, there's a lot of things about the conservative stuff I'll take over the left wing stuff, but I got to be perfectly honest. Like, well, the problem too with the conservative bullshit is like. The problem, too, with the conservative bullshit is a lot of them talk mad shit, but it's like you never get any real follow-through from the party. You know what I mean? Like, it's like we're all worried about... Like, I think the only thing... A lot of things, like, the conservative party has over the Democrats is that they just have better rhetoric, and they're better at playing the game. But then you elect them, and it's like you still just get inflation and more expensive... gas and more expensive and, you know, more wars and stuff like that. But, you know, they just wrap it up in a nicer package, I guess. I don't know. It's always why I'm just like, yeah, no, I'm the weird one for not wanting, I'm the weird one, for not wanting government. Conservatives are just better at propaganda. They really are. Cause, conservatives are and it kind of coincides with the burn slots. How you doing? Have you been in the stream before? I feel like I recognize that name. No, I guess not. What the fuck was I gonna say? Curtis Yarvin did 4 hours on Tim Dillon premiere, so nobody could tell when it would end. It was awful. Yeah. Well, that's the other thing too, Curtis Yarvin. Well, and people a lot of times too will be like, you know, a lot of people in charge are for what he says. Tim Dillon. He did 4 hours on Tim Dillon. Yeah, and you know what it is for me, and I gotta get over stuff like this. There is a thing with like dudes like Curtis Yarvin, where they're like, they're very pretentious and cunty, and there's something about when, I mean, I don't even know what to say. What he looks like. There's something when it's like, you know, when I Google your name. And then, you know, well, I guess these pictures are actually better. I don't know. Maybe that's yeah, you know what I'm saying? It's just like, if this is your preset, like, lower your voice, brother. You really should. If this is your vibe, and I'm being a mean girl. But like, for real though, there is something about looking like a bridge troll where you're like, dude, you should learn to be nicer to people. But maybe it's because everyone was mean to him and now he's acting out. Who knows? What is the cons even for before they were anti-war Now America, and at least 3 this week? Yeah. Well, that's why the conservatives are just better on rhetoric and shit like that. But that's why it always made me laugh, like people spazzed about Trump and stuff like that. It's just like, I don't know, dude, he's not going to do, or he hasn't done anything worse than any other president. There's just, you know, people worry way more about what the vibe is than what's actually happening. You know what I mean? It's, yeah.
A little too much time focused abroad and not enough time focused on the people sleeping outside Union Station.
So, look, I absolutely think we need to focus at home emphatically, and we need to focus on prosperity. We need to focus on reducing the debt, reducing spending, empowering people, low taxes, small businesses. American free enterprise. It's the most powerful force for fighting poverty the world has ever seen. I'm 1,000% there.
Increased spending means the MAGA party stands for nothing at all. Yeah, that is not a thing they said they were going to do. No, you know what it is? It's like the sportification of politics. You know, it's always been us versus them in a sense with politics, but you know, and this could be also too, I've never been more locked in on the political bullshit until this sort of time period in my life, so I've been much more aware of it. But I don't know. You know, I can't say confidently how it used to be, but the team sports element of it right now is off the wall. So you saw it a lot with the Democrats, and you see it now with the Republicans with Trump in office, where it's much more about, now there's a lot of pundits and people who are a little bit more principled and shit, but with a lot of people, I actually kind of think it was worse with Biden in office, but we're not on the verge of World War III, so that really changes things. But there's really a sense of like, as long as the person that they like or the person who represents their team gives them something that feels good, everything else doesn't matter. And that's what I see with Trump. It's like Trump just needs to give his base something that makes them feel good, and everything else doesn't fucking matter. You saw like politics essentially original of its own at this point. Yeah.
I also recognize it is a dangerous world, and part of the responsibility of leaders, part of President Trump's responsibility, is to keep America safe. Let's go back to where we started.
But can I ask, you've been in the district a long time in D.C., so have I, and the city's way more dangerous, and Congress runs this city.
No, it's a complete crap hole.
So I'm saying, like, no Iranian's ever going to kill me, but I could get carjacked here. And I just don't understand how the Congress could run this city and focus on the dangers of Iran when
Yeah, Tucker brings up a good point, too, that a lot of people don't. It's like, it feels like small potatoes, but there is a thing where it's just like, dude, I don't feel like, you know, I think people sort of get, it's this weird thing where it's like stuff that doesn't, you go after stuff that doesn't directly affect you a certain type of way than stuff that does directly affect you. It's why like people, you know, when you have the reality of like, oh, I can't just leave this place easily, I don't want to leave, and then the shitty things in your area you start to normalize, but then when you actually get some distance or another perspective on it, it's like when you quit a job and then you start to realize how insane certain things about that job was, you know, but you were in the mix and you needed the job and there was a lot more at stake and shit like that, so you like let a lot of that stuff go. You know, you kind of ignored it at the time for survival purposes, but there is a thing where it's like, it's so normalized, like we have to help these countries because that feels nice. But dude, let's keep it a buck. Like, there's a lot of areas in this country that, like, don't get me wrong, every area is gonna have a bad. Every city is gonna have a bad area. You know what I mean? But like, I feel now there's too many of them. You know, it's like in New York, I don't know, just like in general, you go around places. I mean, Austin feels fairly safe, but the irony is because I was so used to fucking Jersey and New York, you know, and also I have the privilege of being a fucking 6 foot tall dude who's like 300 plus pounds and shit like that. So I have that benefit where I don't feel as scared walking around. But, you know, at the same time, I don't feel scared walking around 6th Street. But at the same time, I've joked with my wife. I was like, don't be there. Like, in the day, it's one thing. I go, don't be around 6th Street alone. You know, not that, like, she wouldn't have a reason to, but I've joked with her before. I was like, I don't want you over there alone ever. No Iranian ever called me a coin. True cult covers for their leader no matter what they do. Yeah. I don't know. I think it's just because I think the team politics is so much easier now because, like, I don't know, not to get existential, but there's definitely, it's this weird thing where people don't overtly notice it because there's so much like nice shit, you know, like things, you know, there's so much nice shiny, so like visually you're like, oh, we're doing good. But like when you actually, you know, dig under the surface and it's like, oh, if I want to better myself and go to college, now I'm going to have to get a fuck ton of debt if you do that. And then even if I don't have a fuck ton of debt, it's going to be hard for me to own a house. And then, you know, it's just like, you know, we've all talked about those things. It's just like a long laundry list of things like that. And then on top of that, you know, I've definitely experienced it, and I still experience it from time to time, but I think the deeper you get into sort of conspiracies and politics, you hit a point of acceptance where you're like, okay, I turned this thing on, I can't not obsess about this stuff, but also I'm not going to get hung up on solving the problem. I'm just going to do what I can do. And that's the best you could ask for with a lot of people and shit like that. But there's a lot of people that haven't gotten there, and they just want to. I think what's happening is like the country has the same vibe of a giant corporation, and we all work in the mailroom. And I think a lot of people are realizing that and coming to terms with that, where it's like at the end of the day, you're a guy who, like, we're all going to be dudes who work in the mailroom who maybe get a promotion or two. And I mean that philosophically. And I think the politics thing where, because I've noticed it before where people who yap about politics, there's a lot of people like me who are delusional and think we can change the world. But there's a lot of people who they just want to like win a fight. And politics is the easiest way to like win a fight and then feel good about yourself, because they link it to, a lot of it links it to morality and social justice and all this stuff. And, you know, and the irony is every single topic, there's like a deeper sort of darkness to everything, and it's not black and white, and it's like there's cost benefit there. You know what I mean? It's just, there's all this other stuff, like all those people who are like, you know, they're super supportive of trans kids and all this other shit, and it's like, yeah, but, you know, you guys are also sterilizing a bunch of children based off of kind of like a made up thing or like a mental illness that's just encouraged. And I'm not trying to be a dick. And if you're trans, you're trans, you know what I'm saying? But there's a lot of, you know, we can also be trans without sterilizing a bunch of kids. You know what I mean? But you know, but there's a bunch of people thinking that, like, you know, they don't read on the topic. They just, you know, they just support like, oh yeah, let them go through gender affirming care and get a bunch of shit pumped into them they don't need and get their genitals mutilated and shit like that. And, you know, I mean, I'm not saying that happens all the time. I'm just saying it's like there's a lot of groups that encourage that, and they go like, oh, I did the right thing. And it's like, yeah, no, you just sort of prescribe. I didn't say they're sterilizing a bunch of kids. I'm just saying if you're promoting who is sterilizing a bunch of kids, the people promoting gender affirming care. But also I readjusted it to, I know that's not happening rampantly over the country. I'm just saying, all right, Solve, calm down. Why does it always come back to that one issue? Because it is actually, all right, I don't want to have a huge trans debate. This is why I don't fucking put my thing on politics. It's because everyone wants to fucking argue, and they get like a fucking stick up their ass just because you fucking disagree with them. Yeah, it's just like I'm not sitting here like I've said this before about the trans stuff. I'm not sitting here saying it's like, you know, they're fucking transing every single fucking kid. But you brought it up out of nowhere. I didn't bring it. See, this is what you guys always do with the trans conversation. You go, why are you guys so obsessed with it? Well, it's happening to a degree, and it's wrong, and it's sterilizing kids and some kid. You know what I mean? It's like it's happening, so it's actually like a fucking insane thing. So like I completely understand percentage-wise. Who is you guys? Who am I? I'm the guy you're watching the stream of. You're saying who is you guys? Well, you're getting... See, this is what happens to... This is why I don't go into the fucking... I fucking should have learned my lesson. This is my fault. I go into the politics thing, and then you're fucking arguing with me about this, and I'm bringing up reasonable statements and fucking sentences, and you're just like... You're just having autism. Who is you guys? Oh, you've been fucking like everything you said is like been counter to what we were saying. I want a t-shirt that says your opinion is gay and you are gay. It's so fun. You're saying like I said my things, you said everything that counters my things, and I go people like you, and you're like, who do you mean people like us? I don't like the fucking shit you said. See, that's why it's like you can't have fucking conversations with fucking people where it's like you say some reasonable shit and they talk to you like you're on fucking Mars. And they like, dude, it was an analogy. I was bringing it up as an analogy, and you're putting a bunch of shit on me based off of arguments you've heard in the past. And it literally goes back to the fucking team thing I was talking about, where it's like, you heard a buzzword. You heard me say transing kids, sterilizing kids, blah, blah, blah. You heard a buzzword, and now you've turned me into that thing in my head, ignored all the words I was saying, and now you're arguing. Now I have to argue with the guy in your head. Either hear what I'm saying or shut the fuck up, dude. Come on. If you stop taking the drugs, you can still have kids. Well... That's the thing. Also, so why'd you say who is you guys? Fucking you. You making the arguments. You did turn me into something. Okay, whatever. God damn it. No, you did. You started hitting me with you said you brought it up out of nowhere. It was an analogy, so it made sense why I brought it up. It said, why does it always come back to that one issue? That's a fucking thing everyone says about the trans conversation, even though the complaints against the trans conversation are 100% fucking valid. So you're like adding me onto like some caricature that's already fucking occurred and shit like that. So yeah, I don't know. Like, I'm not trying to be a dick. I don't know if you're ready for this. I don't know if you're ready to have like an actual conversation, because you're just doing all the cliched annoying things. But yeah, anyway, when I was originally bringing up my analogy, because that is a thing. That's what fucking irritates me too. Is just like, oh, I'm sorry. I just didn't, you know what I mean? I just went up to fucking madeupshit.org. I didn't like read books or anything, or read articles or listen to interviews with smart people. I didn't do any of that shit. I just went up to fucking make up stuff about the world.org. And that's what I'm talking about right now. That's the things I'm actually talking about right now. Is I'm only talking about pretend stuff. It's like, yes, I know. It's like, you know, there's people I'm talking about people promoting these things, and there are people who are promoting quote unquote gender affirming care, which means doing the trans shit, which means giving the hormones and stuff like that, or giving the estrogen or anything like that. And there's some people who think the surgery is there yet, which I've always joked before. I don't think you're getting a pussy. I think you're losing a dick. So it's like all these other things, and a lot of the chemicals that they give people. There's stories of detransitioners who, you know, everyone says, oh, it's reversible. It's actually not all the time. Sometimes maybe, but it's just funny to think you're pumping yourself with all these like fucking drugs to try to rearrange your biological makeup. And then your response is like, yeah, but if you stop doing that, it all goes back. It doesn't. It doesn't. Go watch interviews of detransitioners and listen to their fucking fried out voice and tell me that shit gets reversed. And it's like, it's not to say like, oh my God, it's this rampant fucking thing, but it's this thing happening. And it's this thing happening that's it's based off wrong info. It's based off wrong info, and it's very harmful to people who don't have the right info. And it's like all the people supporting it they're supporting it and they're missing the forest for the trees because they're just like, I'm a good person. I'm a good person. And that's kind of what I'm talking about with the team shit, where you can have a nuanced perspective on it, because there's like, if you agree with A, B, and C, society has dictated you're a good person. We can change the subject. I'll change the subject when I'm fucking ready. What is it about, dude? This is completely my fault. What is it about going into the politics area of fucking Twitch, and everyone in here is a fucking cunt. They go and they have a conversation. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to call you a cunt. You're just irritating me the way, you know. I didn't mean to call you a cunt. There's so many real things going on. They programmed you to get mad about this one thing. I'm not getting mad about it. I'm getting annoyed with you being retarded. I'm bringing it up as an analogy. That's all I was doing. I was bringing it up as an analogy. You heard a buzzword and you went, why is this what you guys obsess about? Never said I obsess about it, but it is also a good topic to learn about because, you know, if you're wrong about it, people get fucked up. You know what I mean? It's so, and then to just be, we can change the subject. You can also stop being a fucking cunt. You know what I mean? It's like, dude, it's like, you're a bitch. I don't know what I did, you snowflake, stop crying. See, and then that's the other thing too, where it's just like, now you just, see, this is what makes me laugh too about, I'm assuming you're on more of a left-wing progressive side. A lot of people like you act holier than thou, and they don't fucking learn anything. They act holier than thou, and then they immediately go to like high school bullying tactics. Oh, stop crying about this. It's like, no, you said some dumb shit. I called you out for some dumb shit, and you weren't ready to fucking back it up because you're on some dumb shit. So like, yo, I don't care that you're dumb. I'm fucking dumb too. But like, all my friends are fucking dumb. I love a bunch of dumb people. I watch it. I'm not holy. Don't straw man me. Yeah. And you're just making like, what? I said you're holy? Yeah. You're just like, you're like, and I say this as a dumb guy who tries not to be dumb. You're being dumb, and it's not that, you know what I mean? That's okay. It's just, dude, you need to be more aware that you're dumb, and you need to go into these conversations a little less fucking retarded. Be mad at trannies. That's what they want. Cry hard. I'm not mad at trannies even a little bit. And also, don't call them trannies. That's rude. They don't like that. You know what I mean? Maybe you need to be a little more open-minded and stop using such harsh language. Yeah, this is why you're actively reminding me why I stopped going into the politics. That's my fault. I appreciate you coming in here and just being the fucking worst, because that really helped me. If you weren't in here being an absolute fucking problem and the worst and just the opposite of what, you know, a fucking cool dude would do. But anyway, if you chill the fuck out, ask Sklob. I'm very open-minded to people as long as they're chill. But yeah, man, it's not a big deal being dumb. I'm also very dumb, but I understand. I think it would be helpful to understand how dumb you are, and then to sort of go about your life and sort of do that. But yeah, and come on, man, let's do better. Let's do better. Oh, a cool dude would be an echo chamber. That's what you like. Bye. No. All right. All right. I'm gonna boot you if you keep being gay. So you're welcome to stay. I appreciate you being here, but you decided to suck ass, and that's fine. But we have acceptance is the first step. He wants the airtime. It's fine. I streamed for a while, so we can talk about these things. Yeah. I will say it does irk me when, cause like, it's so funny. It's so funny that that's always the go-to where it's like, they'll be like, oh, you bring up the trans thing and they'll be like, why are you so obsessive about it? And you're like, I mean, I gotta be honest. It's not the thing I ever really want to care about, but it's like, you guys are doing it. You know what I mean? They're creating a problem, and then they're getting mad at us to be like, hey, can you guys chill the fuck out? And they're like, why are you obsessed with this? You're like, I don't know, because it's like, because like I've said it many times before, I don't care if you're trans. I just think we need to have an honest conversation about it, and I think you need to really stop pushing it on youth, because this is the thing a lot of the trans people don't, or the people who are. And that's kind of what this person was doing, where it's like, that's why they were hitting me with every like cliched fucking counter to, or they're hitting me with like every cliched argument thing, because it's like, oh, you're not like you didn't actually like learn the topic, you just learned all the things you're supposed to say to counteract the things that make you not feel good. And all that kind of shit. You know what I mean? So it's like with the trans conversation, it's like people go like, oh, why are you obsessed about it? And you're like, well, because you guys are like fucking... It's a real thing we can't have... It's a big thing we can't really have a disagreement on. You know what I mean? That's kind of what it is. It's like, it's not a thing I really want to spend a lot of time talking about, but when it comes up... And also... It's also too, like, that's where I go back earlier to, I said earlier too about like everyone, whenever people argue about shit with you, they have debate induced autism where it's like, I kept trying to explain. I go, do you know what an analogy is? And it was actually a pretty fucking good analogy, because I was using a very contentious issue to highlight my point. So it's like, that's why I was saying before, it's like, you're coming in, turning me into a caricature, because you're not even listening why I'm saying this. You're going, oh, why are you obsessed with it? Not obsessed with it, but if it's a good fucking analogy, I'm here to try to make decent arguments. If it's a good fucking analogy, I'm going to whip that shit out. I don't know what to fucking tell you. And also, maybe you guys pick a less fucking insane opinion to have. Have you ever considered that? Have you ever considered not having a absolutely fucking insane opinion? You know what I mean? It's like, look into it. That's the other part that fucking irritates me. I have no problem with trans people. I follow some on my Instagram. And then when my wife goes to sleep and I've had a couple beers, I sit on the couch and I look at my Instagram and I go, what are you doing to me, buddy? What the hell are you doing to me right now? So I got no beef. I've met a bunch of them. Been really nice to them. I'm a cool guy when it comes to the trans. You know what I mean? If I meet Blair White, I might jiggle her balls. I don't know. It's just, people need to understand the conversations we're having about them is really, a lot of people are getting it wrong. And it's just like, yeah, man. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I just love that. I love that thing too of like, why are you obsessing over this? It's like, I don't know. Like, why you guys keep getting it so, like, why are you guys presenting such a fucking insane opinion? You know what I mean? Best head I ever got was from a trans. Yeah. It's like they don't fully understand what's going on. That's the thing that irritates me. Like, I've read audiobooks, people love to go, you didn't read, you listen. Well, I got the info transed into my head. But no, it's like I've listened to like 2 audiobooks about it. I've watched a fuck ton of interviews. I've read some shit about it. I've listened to interviews with trans people. I've listened to interviews with scientists, all that kind of stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? I've listened to a bunch of stuff. And it's like, it's pretty agreed upon that, like, a lot of these people who are coming out, a lot of these kids who are coming out as trans they're most likely just gay kids who are getting caught up in the current moment. And that's fine. I've done a bunch of trends that weren't really my thing. That's why I was like super fucking emo in high school. I mean, dress-wise, I'm still emo to my core emotionally because I'm a fucking gay bitch. And God, I love sad lyrics. Oh my God. It's the white boy special. I love sad lyrics. And it's like, yeah, it's not even like a thing about the trends and stuff like that. It's just like, you know, like there's certain areas where bad info will just get you something fucked up a little bit. Like I'm trying to look around my room. Like, okay, I got a TV right here. If I got some bad info, I could mean to buy a 4K and actually only get a 10K. 1080p. Whoopsie daisy. I got some bad info. It's fine. You know what I mean? I'm sure, you know what I mean? Like there's a lot of times you get some bad. I had a sandwich analogy before. You get some bad info. Oh, they wanted bacon. I didn't put bacon on it. Whoopsie daisy. Now, there's other topics, like the trans conversation, when if you get some bad info, you end up being a gay boy who, and this, by the way, too, why a lot of the trans activism is actually like kind of homophobic and kind of sexist, where they like, and also just retarded, because that's the other thing too, where a lot of the non-binary stuff that's sort of mixed, like thrown in the mix with all that, it's also a lot of the non-binary stuff that's thrown in the mix on all that shit. That's also just fucking insane. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, you're a girl, but today I'm really into sports, so I identify as a man. No, you just like sports. It's retarded. Like, what are you talking about? It's all just like made up autistic bullshit. It's literally just like, it's like, I always joke, like the woke stuff was like racially centric autism. All this type of woke shit is just fucking gender specific autism. It's just like retarded. It doesn't, like the non-binary shit literally doesn't make any sense. The trans shit makes more sense, but if you approach it as like, oh, some wires got crossed versus like, and I hate the word mental illness because it has such negative connotations, because it's not like, oh, you have a mental illness, fuck you. I have a mental illness. I have fucking I got like whatever the fuck I got like ADHD, and I'm a paranoid fuck, and you know what I mean, like I have a bunch of shit wacky with my brain, so it's hard for me to function at times. Like I get it, like it's not it sucks that it does have a negative connotation, but if we just start there rather than like whoopsie daisy some lines got crossed, then you don't run into an accident where fucking, you know, oh, we had a gay, because, oh, that goes back to like where it's kind of like sexist or homophobic, where it's like, oh, you might just have a gay kid, like a little gay boy, who's like, oh, I'm attracted to men, you know, but they're not accepting the fact that they're gay. Oh, I must just like women, I must just be a woman. Or, and there's also a version of it where it's like, I feel different. And then everyone's telling you like, oh, you know, because it's like, if you're a gay kid, you're probably into more feminine, girly stuff, which is fine, which who gives a shit? You know what I mean? I grew up listening to emo music. I definitely painted my nails and wore some eyeliner. So like, and that's the other thing too. It's like, dude, you probably could, dude, if I grew up now, I'd probably be sucking dick. You know what I mean? I don't know if I would make it through how, don't clip that. But you know, that's the thing. And then it's like, you know, you hear about that and, you know, they're getting some bad info, and then you just go on a thing of like, then they start pumping the gender affirm, because then it's like, okay, we've agreed that it's just like, oh, it's just a chemical thing. So we just have to like, and so you're going to, you know, you're assessing the problem wrong. So you're going to, you know what I mean? It's like if you were having a panic attack, but they treated it like a heart attack, you're going to hurt the person. You know what I mean? That's what's happening. And so, yeah, you're going to do the shit where you're going to pump, you think you can just change their sort of chemical makeup. You can pump them with all this shit. and then that's gonna sterilize them, and then it's gonna it's gonna fuck up their voice. It's gonna do all this fucking shit. And then, God forbid, like, that's the other part too. It's like, why do you care? Oh, I don't know. Cause even if it's 1%, even if it's 0.5%, there are doctors out there that are okay with cutting off kids' genitals. So I'm sorry. If there's an amount of people doing that, we need to deal with them. So, and then it's like, it's one of those issues. It's like it's like if I was pro-abortion and then someone was like anti-abortion, which is why, by the way, I think it's better if we minimize the side of government and the influence the government has and all that other shit, yada, yada, yada. Because like topics like abortion, it's like, how do you come to a middle ground on that? You know what I mean? If you believe you're killing a baby, if you truly believe that, it's like, how do you really come to a middle ground on that? So it's like, why don't we just, have the federal government affect our day-to-day life substantially less, if not at all? But it's like, it's like the abortion topic. It's like, I'm sorry. I think we need to there's certain topics where it's like, we need to come to, we all kind of need to agree on one thing. Because it's like, there's no middle ground on this. And it's kind of how I feel with like the trans shit. I go, it's not about obsessing about it. It's just when it is a topic where it's like, your version of it's kind of crazy and it's kind of going to get people hurt and it's kind of homophobic and it's kind of sexist and shit and all this other shit. And it's going to cause a problem. So it's like, it's not really an issue we can be in the middle. But the reality is you're never going to have people. There's like millions of issues like that you're never going to have people completely agree on, which is why, the fact that the federal government has this like one size fits all for laws, they need to just leave it up to the states, and the states need to leave it up to the fucking towns. And you know what I mean? And like just keep going from there where, you know what I mean? So that's why it's like having a big ass government is advantageous to your that's why having a big ass government is advantageous to your personal happiness and your personal growth, because it's like, you're trying to do a one-size-fits-all sort of regiment for the entire fucking country of, what do we have, 350 million people? Like, you know what I mean? Yeah, I'm still letting that one comment it's still bothering me. Why do you guys obsess over it? It's still like, it's such a lazy argument. That's the other part that fucking irks me. You're like, no, argue the fucking point. Like, fucking prove me wrong or shut the fuck up. I don't want to hear this like, why do you even care? It's like, well, what am I doing? I'm sitting here on a live stream in front of 4 people just talking shit. And you're like, why do you even fucking care? Fucking go, which they did. It's like, go away. Fuck off. Argue my point. Prove me wrong or shut the fuck up. You know what I mean? It's like, it's so irritating. You get so many people trying to like, they were like trying to call me gay or something earlier. Or something like that. What was it? Yeah, it's just like, what's that term? Ad hominems? Is that the term? Ad hominem. What does that mean again? Type of argument or attack that appeals to prejudice or feeling of irrelevantly impugns another person's character instead of addressing the facts or claims made by the... Yeah, so it's like so many times when you get in a fucking argument, it's like so many people are just like, oh, I'd rather just fucking call you gay than that. And you're like, dude, argue my fucking point. And then, cool dude would be in an echo chamber. That's what you like. Bye. You're like, okay, yeah, you just being a fucking... And then, okay, be mad at trannies. That's what they want. Cry harder. Which, that hilariously enough, it's like, that's the, if you're on that side, you know what the best way to defend trans people is, or to support trans people? It's not by calling them trannies, you dumb fuck. So there's that bullshit. I'm not holy, don't straw man me. That was just retarded. I don't know what I did to Snow. Yeah, just calling me gay. You're like, dude, make a fucking point or shut the fuck up. I can't tell you how many times I run into that with shit like this. And I'm a nice fucking guy. That's the other part that fucking irritates me. I'm a nice fucking guy. And you're coming at me like I'm nasty. I'm not nasty. You're fucking nasty. I'm a nice fucking guy. If you're nice to me, I'm such a nice boy, dude. That's what fucking gets me so mad. If you're nice to me, I'm the most splendifer. What's the fucking word? Splendiferous, whatever the fuck. I'm such a splendid young man. So that shit drives me up a goddamn wall. Don't be fucking mean to me. That's where I turn into a fucking nasty shit. Don't be mean to me. I'll get nasty. I'll get fucking nasty. Anyway, acceptance is the first step. Fucking Captain Ginyu over here. Thanks for getting my back, by the way, boys. I really appreciate that. Burn slots a gay N-word. Hell yeah. That's the only time I'll let it slide. Tainted D-Man, thank you. He wants the airtime, man. That's the other thing, too. I'll give him the airtime because it's like I understand, and I need to be better about this. Because I understand their goat. Like, they realize they have nothing, so they're goading me into a big reaction. But, like, I lose sight of that because I'm goading into, I go, okay, let's get past all this. You called me gay. You called me a pussy. I'm fucking gay. I'm crying so fucking much. What's your argument? Make an argument or shut the fuck up. So that's kind of like where I'm at. I get how it looks and I accept it. And if people don't see what I'm actually doing, that's fine, I guess. You know, I'm not going to cry and try to force everyone to see it how I see it. And I should try to be better about that. But I am just like make an argument. I should just be more focused on make an argument. Fucking Captain Ginyu over here. Israel and Jews also use the why are you obsessed argument. Yeah, it's just like, honestly, like when people say that, I'm just going to be like, what am I wrong about? Tell me where I'm wrong. You know what I mean? It's like, tell me where I'm wrong. I, for one, am obsessed with children. Burnslot probably hates Blair White. Yeah, dude. And that's the other part. If you're going to hop into my chat and you're not going to love our queen, Blair White, I mean, brother, I ain't got time for that. Brother, that's not the best picture. Let's do some current ones when she had a bunch of Botox and some fat titties. I will say, dude, shout out to trans women. They really know. They really get the fucking. What's the term? They understood the assignment. Because like every trans person I see, they always just have like big fat titties and a round ass, and they look like a fucking bottle girl. And I go, they figured it out, dude. All right, I'm going to pull up something else because I think we got a little bit away from... We should do a palate cleanser and watch some Donkey Kong footage. I think that would be fun. Let's do a palate cleanser because we argue so blunt. Dude, literally, and I also, too, I put that last whole little bit on myself because I completely... this happens every fucking time. Oh, wait, this is the fucking pod I'm doing. That's right. Oh, look at that. We got a couple subscribers over here. Hell yeah. Each stream. Is anyone even watching? No one's watching. Got some subscribers, though. That's nice. Oh, what the fuck was I just saying? No, that's on me because I fucking, that happens every time you're in the politics thing. It happens every fucking time. You guys have probably been here for it. Someone hops in, they get a real debate me, bro. They are not equipped to have a adult conversation. Because that's my thing, by the way. Oh, shit, season 17 trailer? Oh, we're going to have to watch that. That's my thing, by the way. And I don't give a fuck. Like, it's one thing... It's like, especially when it's my stream. This is my stream. Yeah, dude, you ran with the Bulls there with that guy for a moment. Wait, Blair White with Alex Jones photos, so cute. Slav, you are a complex, interesting man. But you are gay. I am gay. Yeah, dude, you ran with the Bulls there with that guy for a moment. Yeah, dude. I'll play ball. I'll play ball because I turn into a psycho on these things. I should get better about it. What are we gonna do? The fuck? I was just saying a thing. Oh, that was the last thing I was gonna say about it. Is like, I it happens every fucking time I go into the politics tab, is someone comes in, they just start, it's just someone who wants to argue, but they don't actually care about the conversation. Because if they cared about the conversation, they'd like sit in the chat for a little bit, then kind of like throw a little out. No, we'll change the subject when I say we'll change it. Well, that was the other thing. Don't say something like that to a comedian if you want to have a level-headed conversation with a comedian. Don't say next topic, because that's like every comic has experienced that, where it happens a lot of times when you're bombing or you're not having a great set, but it won't even be necessarily because you're bombing. Because there's times where you're like, oh, I bombed, that was on me. And then there's other times where you bomb, and it's like you just get a weird audience that just is uptight and doesn't like anything you're doing. And a lot of times in those uptight audiences, you'll get someone who's a fucking cunt who thinks their opinion on the show is more important than everyone else's. So you'll hit a topic, and God, I can't tell you how, I've said this before, I can't tell you how little I respect people who get like offended by jokes. It's one thing, and Ari actually posted the perfect clip about it, because on Instagram, I think it was. Because there's one thing, it's one thing to not like comedy, but it's one thing to not like a joke, but then you just sit there quiet and you don't become a fucking nuisance. Oh no, not Shapiro, Shafir. That's one thing. It's another thing to like not enjoy the moment and then to be an absolute nuisance to fucking everyone and to think your feelings in the matter are much more important than everyone else's night. And you get those people and they'll hit you with like a little bit of a next. You know what I mean? It's just like, dude, it's just, and especially in a comedy setting, depending on how full the show is, dude, even if there's only like fucking 30, 40, 50 people in the show, it's like, dude, the fact that you think how you feel right now is more important than everyone else just because, and it's just like such a coward's move. It's like, just say you're fucking wrong. Like, going back to the debate thing, it's like, we can move on from this. It's like, no, fuck you. Say you're fucking wrong. Just because shit got bad for you, don't just go like, we can move on to the next thing. Fuck you. You know what I mean? It's like, it just irritates me because then in those situations, I feel like I come off like I'm being a lot. But it's like, no, this person's the fucking pussy. This person's the fucking coward, and they need to be dragged through the fucking mud. You're going to come out here, act like you can fucking dance. You can't even fucking, you got 2 left feet. And it's like, oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry if I spun on my head really hardcore in front of you. That's what happened. It was a breakdancing competition, and I spun on my head, and then I did that thing where you like slide on your stomach or whatever. That's basically what happened. But yeah, I don't know. I also get to a point where I go, it's like there's this thing we're supposed to do. There's like a level of like niceties we're supposed to have, and it's like if we're disagreeing on an issue, it's like it's more important that we maintain these. Now, I'm not saying sit here and go like, you fucking dumb idiot, you fucking faggot, you fucking, I'm not saying like get into hardcore name calling, but there's just like thing where it's so much more important to like maintain a fake predetermined level of niceties over like, well, no, you're actually, it's that William F. Buckley Gore Vidal shit. Yeah, it's that William F. Buckley Gore Vidal shit, and I'm not even like a fan of. I'm not even sitting here being like, oh, I love William F. Buckley Jr. I've heard a bunch of stuff about him. Seems like a bitch, you know what I'm saying? Like at times, but like this moment where he's like, now listen here, you queer, and everyone's like, oh, that's not good, and it's like, I don't know, dude. It gets to a point where it's like, you can only talk. Let's see if it's here.
Some of the political issues are here that many people in the United States happen to point of the American democracy.
And some time for ostracizing people who egg on other people to shoot American Marines and American.
Oh, is this the clip? Okay, I think I was on the right clip.
You must realize.
Let me also admire Breckinridge. Go back to his pornography and stop making any illusions of natural. Breckinridge. you in your goddamn face. And you'll
failing that, I would only say, as far as I'm concerned, the only sort of pro or crypto Nazi I can think of is yourself. Failing that, I would only say that we can't have.
Now listen, you
the right of
queer,
assembly.
stop calling me a crypto Nazi.
Let's stop
or I'll
calling
slap
names
you in
and
your
let's get-
goddamn face, and you'll stay plastered.
Gentlemen, let's
Bill.
Let me also admire Bracken.
Yeah, and then it's like it turns to this whole thing where it's like William F. Buckley's a fucking dickhead, and then you look over and Gore Vidal's like smiling, and it's like, dude, you just called him a crypto Nazi or whatever the fuck. It's like, and this is also too. What year was this? Is this 60s? 68? Yeah, dude, this is 60s. The fucking war just ended. The World War II ended 20 years ago. You're calling William F. Buckley a fucking Nazi because you disagree. It's like, it's this, the thing that gets me irritated is like in that moment, it becomes abundantly obvious that it's like Gore Vidal is just being a fucking scumbag right now. But because he was sneaky about it, it's fair game. You know what I mean? He didn't get loud. So it's fair game. But we all sit there and go, oh, you're being a bitch right there. And then, we're supposed to go, oh, but William F. Buckley's the guy who's bad because he said he'd slap him in the jaw or whatever the fuck. And it's like, I don't know. I mean, Gore Vidal just acknowledged that he's not willing to have a fair fight. Crypto Nazis a slick get. Like, I get it. And I understand that it's probably not the best way to be, but I think I'm going to have to deal. Like, I think that's the other thing I have to remember is, like, if I'm more in these political spaces, I'm going to have to, like, deal with these people. And that expectation that they're going to have high standards of debate, I need to just throw that out the window. So there is an element where it is a little bit on me, I guess. My problem is I fall victim of my standards for the world are unfortunately too. That's the problem though, is like, I don't think my standards for the world are that high. I don't think my standards for the world are that high whatsoever. That's why I have them. But the more and more I learn about the world, the more I'm realizing, like, I guess they are high standards, which I don't know, that's sort of what gets me depressed. That's what kind of gets me depressed on these issues is like, oh, I do actually have high standards, and that's unfortunate. So I guess at the end of the day, it's on me expecting someone jumping into the conversation in Twitch, twitch.tv/politics on the politics channel to, have an honest adult debate. I guess that's on me at the end of the day. I guess I just have to live my life lowering my expectations for the world. Not to end on a bummer on that moment, but what are you going to do? What are you going to do? I just got to get more reps under my belt. And I'll be more familiar with these people and this kind of shit. All right, let's do... What's that Donkey Kong thing we were looking at? Let's look at a Donkey Kong thing as a palate cleanser. Oh, by the way, I completely ignored all these comments and shit. I don't know if Fletcher CC is still in here. What is your opinion on the British? What does that mean? GB? Oh. I thought this was one long sentence. It's just, what's your opinion on the British? I mean, they're fine. I joke shitting on them all the time. Because I do get triggered when a British person starts talking, especially British people online love to talk shit about American food. And I go, that's actually fucking insane. Because you guys have some of the worst food ever. And the best food of yours is not British food. The best food I can get over there is not British food. So like British people love to talk shit. You need a political tune-up fight. Dude, for real though, I remember I went on, what was the fucking podcast? Oh, I didn't even play this Ari clip. It's so good. No, I went on this podcast forever ago called The Punk Rock Libertarian. I think that's what it's called. And it was fun. It was a fun podcast, but then they had this like one, and the dudes on there were really cool. I think it's the Punk Rock Libertarians. Yeah. Yeah, I was on their show a while. They did not make it clear where you could listen to it, though. Because I see it's on YouTube here, but I was like waiting for a link and all that stuff, and they did not make it clear.
All right.
Yeah, but they had this.
All right, that's set up.
Oh yeah, this guy. I got into it with him, and now I don't even know if he remembers the argument, but if you talk to him, he'd be like, "Oh, Andy looks stupid," and then I'd be like, "He looks stupid." So we didn't really. It's not like we really came to an agreement, but from my perspective, we got into like an argument, and I felt that I actually did a pretty good job debating. I felt, if you're approaching the conversation in an honest way, you would have looked at him like, oh, you're not making any, bro, what the fuck is up on YouTube stream? Is the YouTube stream fucked up? No chat and can't mini play because it says the stream is for kids. Oh, no. Oh, okay. I was wondering why that was happening. Yo, thank you for the... Because I saw that earlier that the chat wasn't up, and I just go, all right, I'll figure that out later. You know what I mean? I was like, I'll figure that out later. But is it only for fucking kids? That's hilarious. That's not a thing I would ever want in this world. Tonya coming through. This is why I need you guys to look out for me. This is why I like Big Red in the Mornings more of a community than it is anything, because I need you boys looking out for me. Oh, shit. How did that happen? Yeah, it got set. It's set to yes, it's for kids. That's crazy. It's so funny. I'm doing a Tucker Carlson, Ted Cruz breakdown only for kids. Here we go. Okay, that's probably why it had a bunch of restrictions on it. Hell yeah. Tonya for the win. Look at that. Here we go. There we go. Chat's working. Okay, that's... Shout out Tonya. Making everyone's life a lot better. Dude, I was wondering why that was fucked up. I just wasn't worrying. I just was like, I don't know. I'll worry about it later. There we go. That's why Big Red in the Morning's a community over everything. Tonya the God. Tonya, JK's Twitch spies. Yes, it's for kids. We need to level Israel for this bullshit. Yeah. I mean, it's for cool kids. The kids need to hear about Andy has to say. Andy is kids content. I mean, I talk at a third grade level. I talk and read at a third grade level. So, yeah, I can see myself being for kids. Damn, that sucks. I got to double check stuff like that way better in the future. Maybe I'd pay a guy to like just fucking watch my streams and make sure I'm not being retarded. Big Red in the Mornings for the children. It is. But you got to say it like Chef. All right. What was I yapping about, though? Oh, yeah. I was doing the Punk Rock Libertarian podcast. And the one dude had this really weak argument for Dave at the time, Dave Smith. I didn't even know they were going to do it. But also, I've been very public about, like, Dave's my dude. So I have to fucking, if I'm on a show... I've thrown so much support behind Dave. If I'm on a show where they're talking mad shit, and it's like, it's not even just mad shit, it's like dumb arguments, I gotta show up. So I showed the fuck up. And it was this fucking thing where, and this is proof that there's a lot of libertarians who are just in it to argue, and they're not in it to have like real conversations about real world change. Because they'll be talking about, there's a lot of libertarians who use the whole property rights thing. So like they look at public property. It's like it's these weird technical arguments they make so they can still have like real faggy liberal opinions about stuff. You know what I mean? Where it's like, you know, if you're on the left wing, you can't be annoyed by anything homeless people do. You have to be like, that's just great. So they were like, it's like shit like that. And then the irony is like, so it's like Dave's making the point where, because like a big thing with libertarianism is private property. There's a lot of libertarians in it just to be against the grain. Well, that was a big thing that like fucked me up with. It made me not want to do a lot of this like political shit. It made like the fact like I got into conspiracies and politics because like learning about the world and how the world operates is actually it's like actually incredibly interesting and super fun and shit like that. But then you actually like meet the people, and there's so many people who are just fucking socially retarded autists, and it's like, dude, you guys suck ass. You guys have to like just learn how to be normal human beings, and it makes for just goofy bullshit. So it's why you see all these libertarians like just, I mean, you don't see it a lot, but there will be those times where you'll see libertarians who have a long autistic argument about what the age of consent should be, because they use the same logic that I use where it's like, well, no, it's an important issue that we need to figure out the exact right answer. Because that's a big thing with libertarians. They don't want to accept that. They don't want to accept other people's perspectives and like the possible validity of it. They want to just, a lot of libertarians, and I used to be like this. Well, I don't know. I'm still like this, but you also have to accept other people's experiences and work within those parameters. If you're going to go out in public and interact with people, you're going to have to work within their parameters and find, middle grounds on certain things, or just like, or just understand what like maneuvering in normal society entails. And you need to have like, it's like we can talk about this theoretical shit, because I look at libertarianism as like the mechanic. If you take your car to the mechanic and just go like, yo, what would you do to this? Not just fix it up, like do what you would do to make this car the coolest. And he'd probably be adding aftermarket shit and all this other crazy stuff. Throw a spoiler on it, give you a cool wheel that's like gold and fucking chains and shit like that. Like that's what he would do. But there's that moment where it's like, well, how much money do you have? You know what I mean? And it's like, okay, so this is what we can do because reality's a thing. So there's this thing where libertarians, there will be certain topics where libertarians take the shit in the wrong direction. And because the big thing about libertarianism is like, it's the like, from our perspective, the proper understanding of property rights, and then a lot of shit just sort of devolves from there. So because a lot of this shit is a lot of stuff in the world, like schools and libraries and the post office, they're government funded property. So a lot of libertarians take that and then they go, that's no one owns that because it was made off stolen money and shit. Like it's they made it off of the money they stole from the people. But then you go, okay, I take your logic. Let's take it to the logical conclusion. So if like a homeless guy shows up, and this is the example Dave always uses, if a homeless guy shows up and comes to like a middle school and he's just, going into the girls' locker room or going into the library, into the public school and just starts jerking off in the corner, it's like, what? Because, government property is illegitimate property. Like, we just don't do anything about that. And they never have like a real answer for that. Because it's like, dude, if your philosophy is taking you down a route where they do the thing where they go like, oh, that's a crazy example, would never happen. It's like, no. This is what we do in libertarian bullshit. We take shit to the logical conclusion. So like, if you're like you take it to the logical conclusion. It's like what we talk about with laws. It's like, oh, if you make something illegal, then what you're saying is it's justified that if you break this rule, they should be allowed to throw you in a cage. And it like, you're basically saying it's okay to like, if people continuously don't follow this rule, it's okay for you to get all your rights taken away and shit like that. So I was like, no, let's go to, like, under your rules, it would be okay for under your parameters, it would be okay for a homeless guy to go into, or not even okay. A homeless guy could go into a public school, jerk off in the library, and by your rules, you can't do anything about it because the land, like the property is not legitimate. And it's like, I just don't see how that, and I agree with Dave on that. It's like, I just don't see how that is very functional in like real world situations. I just don't, you're like, what do you do with that? You know what I mean? And you're just like, and you can't be a libertarian, just be like, well, you should oppose the state. And you're like, okay. And this is how I look at it. I look at it as, with all the libertarian stuff, I sort of look at it as like, okay, we're here doing this. And this is where we should be. This is like the libertarian thought, anarcho-capitalist thought, stuff like that. This is where we should be. This is where we should be. But we're here. So acknowledge where we should be, understand where we are, and then understand the way we can understand the way we can function under current conditions that will get us closest to the preferred way of living. So, from my perspective, and I don't know if there's if there's other dudes who've written about this, there probably has. I doubt I'm going to discover a new topic that libertarians haven't argued about. I doubt that would happen with me. But like, I look at it as government property is it's the same. I think Dave's brought this up. It's the same logic as if like you take in a prisoner, but now it's your responsibility to feed that prisoner. Honestly, even if they were your slave, it's your responsibility to like feed that. Well, actually, I don't know if you'd get. I guess slave's not the right example because I feel like they wouldn't arrest you if you let your slave die, right? They would just be like, hey, fucking dumbass. Probably just be more shit like that. They'd probably just make fun of you, be like, you fucking idiot. Spent all that money on that slave and you let him die. But is that a thing? I'm actually curious about that. Let's ask Grok. But anyway, so like let's do the prisoner example. Like with the prisoner example, it's like it's your responsibility to make sure their well-being is somewhat maintained. Obviously they're a prisoner. You don't have to treat them great. But like you have to make sure their well-being is somewhat maintained, and you have to like, if you let a prisoner die, that's on you. Was it illegal to let your slave die back in the day? Laws regarding slavery varied widely by time, place, and culture, so the answer depends on the specific context. In many historical slave-holding societies, slaves were considered property, and the legal system often prioritized the owner's rights over the slave's well-being. However, there were sometimes laws or social norms that addressed the treatment of slaves, including whether letting them die was permissible. What were the rules in America? In the United States, the legality of letting a slave die depended on the time period, state, and specific circumstances, as slavery was governed by laws, states, and local practices. Slaves were considered property under the law. Okay. Slaves were treated, 1600s to 1776. Slaves were treated as chattel property, and owners had near absolute authority over them. Laws varied by colony, but generally offered little protection for slaves, neglect, or death. There were few, if any, laws explicitly prohibiting neglect leading to a slave's death. Owners could work slaves to exhaustion, provide minimal food or shelter, or inflict severe punishment without legal repercussions as long as it didn't disrupt public order or another person's property rights. Example in Virginia, 1669. I am dyslexic. Dude, literally, like, there's something about, I think, like, one of the reasons why the American slavery feels so, I mean, it's also, too, we learn about it way more than the other forms, but there is a degree, and this could be just modern bias, where you think, like, because of like modern context, people closer to our time frame are smarter. But I don't know if I'm right about this, but there is something where it's like the modern American slavery, or the most recent American slavery shit, seems worse because it feels like you guys should have known by then it was bad. You know what I mean? It's like different when you go, you know, when you go to like ancient times, or not even ancient times, like when you go back to like medieval times, there's something about that time period where you're like, I genuinely don't think people thought it was a bad thing. You're like, you know, I think it's the modern bias or something like that. But there were laws against slave mistreatment, even in the Bible. There are Bible verses regarding mistreatment of slaves. I imagine it's legal to kill your slave as punishment and whatnot, but outright murder and chaos would be frowned upon. Yeah, I think it was probably like a more social thing. And like, I think if you look at it like just a product like they did, it's like, yeah, okay, you could let your slave die, but you know what I mean? Like, I got a drum set right over here. I could break my drum set, but now I don't have a drum set anymore, and I paid all that money, and now I just have no drum set. So it's like, you could let your slave die, but you're just going to not have a slave that you wanted. So you're going to have to go buy another slave. It's like, I think it's like a thing of like, you have to find that balance where you don't wait, you know, you're not wasting money. Slave equals okay, indentured servant equals not. Wait, imagine it's legal to kill your slave as punishment and whatnot, but outright murder and chaos would be frowned upon. Oh, okay. I read that already. Yeah. Hell yeah. I'm glad we moved on from gayer topics. Once I get started on something, I can fucking go. And then when I get farther away from it, I'm like, ugh, maybe I shouldn't have gone so much. Oh, man. What is this? It's fucking Ted Cruz being a bitch on the timeline. Last night, Tucker Carlson acknowledged as a Christian the biblical mandate to bless Israel, but suggested that the government of Benjamin Netanyahu was not biblical Israel. Seems to me a pretty misguided point that this son of a rabbi will try to address. Israel has always been Israel. It has always had leaders, some good, some not. The Bible has never qualified the mandate to bless Israel by who was leading it. And by the way, I support Netanyahu. The nation of Israel today comprises of people that praise in the same language, in the same places, and with the same liturgy as in ancient times. I've heard about that. I think Robbie said something. Robbie the Fire Bernstein. I think he said something on that. Or maybe I just learning about the Israel-Palestine situation where they go like, oh, they speak the ancient language. And it was apparently a thing where it was like, yeah, you guys stopped speaking it. And then a bunch of you relearned it. And so it's like, you're probably not even speaking it correctly. You know what I mean? Favorite Slurpee flavor? I was always a big cherry guy. Whenever the Slurpees would pop up, whatever the red one was, I would always go there. Nation of Israel today comprises people that pray in this. Oh yeah, its faith is governed by the Old Testament. This is the same nation of Israel referred to in the Bible. I love that argument too, where it's like, we weren't here first. Have you read the Bible? And you're like, okay, well then that also means somewhere was there before you. You know what I mean? Like, I love that argument because you can use that logic on that argument, and it's just like, oh, it's actually an insanely retarded argument. And also, too, like, you know, if I own the I rent my house, but if I own the property my house sits on, you can't just come in and be like, my ancestors used to live here. This is my land. And you're like, all right, I live here now. I don't know what to tell you. Cherry and Coke swirl. I never got into the Coke. I don't know why. I don't know if I ever gave it like a true. Yes, Tucker argued that when the Bible says Israel, it doesn't mean Israel. What Dave DeCamp say? If I name my son Jesus, would you worship him as God because he has the same name as Jesus from the Bible? Hell yeah, Dave. Fuck Ted Cruz. I don't know. Trump called Ted Cruz's wife a fat bitch, and then he just kind of kept supporting Trump. So I don't have a lot of respect for the guy. Coke, it's on its own, was garbage. It needed the cherry bump. There was something about the swirly mix of that shit that I never was like a big fan of Coke. I got to be perfectly honest. I was never like a huge fan of that shit. I just always like when I was in that department with that kind of shit. I was always just, my eyes were on fruity flavor. But now that we're talking about it, a cherry Coke swirly would rip pretty hard. I'm going to get some more water and stuff. Let me play this and then we can bop around to some other stuff.
When the world felt so cruel and bleak, when the hole looked so dark and deep, hard as rock, cold as stone, I was scared alone. Then your beat showed the way to you.
Golden Bananas, the discovery of the century, made right here on Ingot Isle. This is excellent news for #1 banana fan, Donkey Kong. However, just as he's about to enjoy the notable bananas, a sudden tempest sends him deep down underground. As his adventure begins, DK teams up with Odd Rock, but it's no rock at all. It's actually a talented young singer named Pauline. Now, Donkey Kong just wants bananas. And Pauline wants to find a way back home to the surface. It's said that one's wish will be granted by reaching the planet core. So the unlikely duo set off on a strange subterranean adventure. The story takes place in the underground world, where the scenery changes the deeper you go. Some layers are so spectacular that it's hard to believe you're underground. DK can run, jump, and climb through each environment. Using his incredible physical prowess, you can freely move in any direction. But that's not all. Almost anything in your path, you can smash, crash, and bash. You can even do this to a massive rock formation. You know, if you want. As you barrel through obstacles in your path, you'll also collect golden bananas known as Banandium Gems. More on those later. Let's take a look at some of the things this Kong can do. Punch. Smash enemies. Walls. The ground. And most things you can get your hands on with incredible force. Destruction can lead to discoveries. So set off a chain reaction and see what happens. Dive punch. Unleash a powerful punch directly downward. How deep you punch into the ground depends on the strength of the terrain. Roll forward. Roll at high speed and send lighter objects soaring. Combine this with punches and jumps to really mix things up. Hand slap. Make some noise to collect scattered items. Or detect hidden objects using sonar. You can even use your feet when your hands are occupied. Tear off. Grab a chunk of terrain and tear it off. Or tear up turnips to find items. And even tear chunks off your foes. Swing. Grab a chunk and swing it to attack.
One more!
Harder chunks can be used to break stone with ease. Or smash spiky thorns. Chunk jump. Use a chunk to double jump. This will help you reach new heights. Throw. Throw a chunk. Or aim at a target like this. Throwing a boom rock or gold can have explosive effects. If you throw chunks made of softer material, you can stick them to a surface and pile them up. Turf serve. This lets you ride on chunks. Speed up and aim for smaller enemies to knock them away. Make music. The power of Pauline's singing will help show you the way. It can also remove these strange seals that someone left behind. You never know what you'll discover in the underground world. So carve your own path with DK's abilities. The many layers of the underground world are host to a variety of inhabitants. Some are mysterious and aren't too bothered by DK.
Yo, I might need this game in my life.
It looks like Cranky Kong and his companion Rambi are also venturing through the layers of the world. Then there are the Giant Elders, who call the underground world home. They're said to possess ancient bonanza powers. By learning their bonanza powers, Pauline's singing can do something special. She can make Donkey Kong transform. With incredible destructive power, even...
Yeah, this shit looks dope. Shit looks fucking dope. Excuse me. Oh, yeah. I saw this earlier. I like the More Perfect Union. I think they're really good at identifying problems. We may disagree on solutions, but they seem really good at identifying and dissecting problems. And so I like watching their video, I like watching their videos even if I don't necessarily enjoy their conclusions. I'm back to Andy Find the Bible versus I don't know. I just took your word on that. It kind of reminds me of Banjo-Kazooie. Oh, the fucking Donkey Kong game. Yeah, I might need that in my life. Like, I've been crushing Lego Star Wars, and I go, oh. Because does that count as a platformer? Platformer games. Yeah. Because I always... crazygames.com. You remember these? Dude, these websites used to be the best. You'd find these back in the day when you had to do some like bullshit computer lab work. You'd find these and then what the fuck am I trying to say? You'd find those and then you're supposed to be in the middle of typing class and then you'd just be doing that shit and you'd be like, this is way more fun. Fuck typing. Typing's gay. But, yeah, I'm like, because I was talking we had Butterly on the podcast. What's today, Wednesday? Yeah, he's on the episode that drops tomorrow. fuck is this? It's kind of cool. Sorry. Got distracted by something. The fuck was I talking about? Guys? I'm kind of tired. I shouldn't have ate earlier. You know what's funny? I was giving my wife an earload yesterday about there's certain things you got to accept and keep it moving. I am the worst at accepting things and keeping it moving. Because it's like the stream didn't start out strong and I've been obsessing about it the whole time. And it's like, nah, just keep it fucking moving, dude. Just keep it fucking moving. But yeah, Butterly was on the pod. I was talking about this yesterday. He was on the pod and I was asking him about Bloodborne. And because like I watch how obsessive those people get over those games. And there's always that part of me that's like, I want that. I want that feeling you have, Timothy, when you play Bloodborne. Because it was like the way he talked about it, then he's like, greatest game ever made. And you're like, oh, he like means that with his fucking chest. He means that with his fucking chest. And then it's like, but the thing is with a lot of those games, it's like a full-on commitment. Like if you're playing Bloodborne, you're playing Bloodborne. And you're not doing anything else. And you're sitting there for 6 hours on one level and shit like that. And I go, there's part of me that I don't know. I don't have the energy or will to like lock in on a game like that. And also maybe down the line when I have I'm a little bit more successful and financially stable. Cause I'm so distracted with other things that like, cause like playing a game for 6 hours is not one of my top things I like to do. So, like, I'd have to have a bunch of other things sort of figured out before I would let myself do that. And it's not to say, like, dude, if you do that, I mean, definitely get out and look at the sun and touch grass and shit. But I'll never knock people for playing games. It's not my thing like that. That's why it's like a lot of the games I play are like Fortnite and shit like that. You know what I mean? Where it's like I would get hardcore into Fortnite and Call of Duty. I'd still be playing Call of Duty if they didn't, treat their fans like a fucking endless money glitch. You know what I mean? So, but it's why I like those games. You can get in and out. You don't have to be overly locked in, all that kind of shit. And it's why I'm like, dude, this might just be the era of platformers for Big Red. Actually, let's look at that. Because I was watching that Donkey Kong game and I was just like, that looks so fucking fun. Everything about that. Oh, there's so much good stuff to check out. The internet wasn't ready for iShow Speed. I think they were. I think that's why he got so popular. Because they were pretty worried. Or they were pretty ready for him. Bloons TD 6 is a goated game. What's that? What am I doing? We gotta watch the whole thing. Oh, he gave the young version of him the fucking face tat that ripped.
Never looking for
Oh yeah. Quick little end it. The fuck was I talking about? They're so good. They're so fucking good, dude. They're so fucking good. Sorry, I was reading a comment on another video. Drew, who's in the stream a bunch yesterday, Shalom, as your assigned Mossad agent, I must warn against making videos of this nature. Yeah, that's, by the way, if you guys like the if you guys like the 9/11 anti-Israel shit, brother, support the bro. Support my ass. Support my ass. I should set up. I have like a Patreon set up, but I don't know. It's just so many fucking things. I mean, I have it set up on the Twitch if anyone's curious about it, but I don't know what the fuck to put on there. Maybe I'll wait till I get canceled or my career gets ruined to really push the Patreon. Maybe, yeah. Stoked these boys landed on the new Tony Hawk soundtrack. They did. They did. I forgot about that. That's gonna be awesome. I like them adding a bunch of shit into the Tony Hawk soundtrack and stuff like that. What's the band called? Oh yeah, this guy's like sweeping New York, right?
There's a lot of things that make New York City special. For me, it's the delis and bodegas. Habibi, could I get an egg and cheese on a roll with jalapeno?
One Zoran special coming up.
Small businesses employ nearly half of all New Yorkers in the private sector. They keep the city running, but the last 4 years have been hard. We've seen the dollar slice go extinct, storefront after storefront close, and had a mayor in Eric Adams who has ignored the struggles of small businesses. That's why, as mayor, I'm going to make it faster, easier, and cheaper for small businesses to get started and stay open. First, we're going to cut fines and fees for small businesses by 50%. Regulations are important, but small businesses have to navigate more than 6,000 of them, with far fewer.
So funny, too. I mean, I'm not against this, but even with the whole, like, regulations are important. But when we want growth in an area quickly, we get rid of them. So you're like, do that more. You know, you're like, no. It works with like little stuff, like small businesses. But when it comes to the important stuff, that's the stuff that needs to be overregulated. But it's also too, it's like fucking, I heard the best analogy where it's like, dude, you could also, what's important is super subjective. Because think about it. Think about like you go about your day right now. What's more important, your health insurance or the fact that you have shoes? You know what I mean? Like, I've lived the past year plus without health insurance. I've done it without health insurance. I couldn't have done it without shoes. You know what I mean? So like, there is also, I just make the point to say like, you know how deregulating this shit makes it easier and better for people? That also applies to everything else.
Fewer resources than the big chains. That's why, as mayor, I'll appoint a mom and pop czar with the clear goal of making it easier to run a small business.
Just stop fucking them so much. You don't need a czar. You just need to let them operate in a productive way. So just stop, here's all these laws that fuck with them. Get rid of those. Just do that. You don't need a fucking czar. Oh, you know what'll help small businesses? If a new government employee makes 6 figures a year.
$1,000 isn't a lot to our city government, but it can be make or break for a small business trying to get off the ground. Next, we're going to accelerate permits and applications. The mom and pop czar will coordinate with agencies to speed up turnaround times, cut red tape, and let New Yorkers start businesses sooner. Because you shouldn't have to fill out 24 forms and go through 7 agencies to start a barbershop. But most of all, we're putting our money where our mouth is by increasing funding for small business support programs with 500%. We're going to invest $20 million in our Business Express service teams, which pairs small businesses with a city case manager that helps them navigate permits and regulations, as well as connecting them with programs that provide them with financial and legal assistance. Right now, only 3% of businesses are using these programs. We want that number to skyrocket. The only thing more New York than an egg and cheese are the small businesses that make them. Together, we can not only protect them, but encourage new ones to make a home in our city.
Not bad. Not bad. Seems like it's not bad. It just seems like nice little stuff. I'd have to see what else this dude's getting into. This guy seems cool. I know he's like the big dude. I know a lot of people were being like, Zoran. And it's like you see him, you're like, okay, yeah, he's like an American dude. It's not, there was like that one dude. There's this one dude. Oh wait, what was the band you were talking about? I Bet. There's this one dude who he was like, oh yeah, when they were talking about like the deportations and stuff like that. Oh yeah, the Chicago Hood Slam core thing you were telling me about. I'm hyped to check this out actually. No, there's this one dude. It's when Trump was doing a lot, like they were talking about the visa shit and like Elon was spazzing and then what the fuck was his name? I was about to get real racist, call him Kumail. No, fucking what's his dick? Vivek. And like it's the thing that kind of killed Vivek because he like went way too hard to be like, oh, Indian immigrants are actually way smarter and more hardworking than Americans, and you're like, hey Vivek, that's a terrible way to go about this. But, to each their own. I still like Vivek. I think he's good. I just thought that was a really stupid tactic to like put out that whole. And then he tried to do the backpedaling. He's like, no, you guys don't understand. Actually. And you're like, nah, you kind of called a bunch of fucking, you kind of called Americans lazier than foreigners. And it's like, it's not going to get a lot of people on your side. But, but then, Trump's doing his whole visa thing. And there's this guy that comes up who just has the thickest Indian accent. Like, he can't speak English properly. And he's talking about, like, he's going nuts. And it's just like, hey, man, maybe you want to read the room. Maybe if you can't speak English, you're not the one to, like, represent... maybe you're not the one to represent this shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, because you just fall in line with the and this is why too I think like there are degrees, the more conspiracy minded part of me is like definitely venturing into Trump being like controlled opposition, or they're like actually doing things to get people to like Trump more. Because it is like, dude, when you see like an Indian guy who can barely speak English screaming about how like Trump's the problem and immigrants are better than Americans and shit like that, you're like, it's just like, I mean, that's the most perfect help for Trump you could fucking have in these kinds of situations and shit like that. And it's stuff like that's just like nuts to see. But anyway, I'm getting sidetracked. Andy, a music video, please. I don't know, dude. I don't trust your links ever. Let's play this music video. Oh, but to go back to the thing I was saying, it's like, but then people take that too far. And I saw people talk about this guy. Like, oh, we got a fucking, we got Zoran. What the fuck is that? Where's the American? And then you hear him talk. You're like, oh, yeah, he's, I don't know. Maybe he'll be a sleeper cell and try to get Aussie-inspired music. I don't know. I'm out of it today. I suck ass today.
It's a parent, I'm a
Tonya, I gotta be honest. You really sold that as like a big guilty pleasure band. That was actually really fucking good. Like, I get it. Like, in the video going hashtag Chicago Hoodcore is a little bit like, all right, guys, you're being a little bit cringy. But the actual music itself, it's like, brother, I'm the biggest fan of heavy shit mixed with rap. So you don't gotta. I'm actually gonna add these guys to the fucking rotation. That was pretty good. I actually like that a lot. It's pretty fucking catchy, to be perfectly honest. Pretty fucking catchy. Hell yeah. Okay. I knew the tunes you'd fuck with. The hoodcore shit just made me laugh. Yeah, the title of it is kind of like, all right, you guys are being dorks, but I mean, dude, I'll fuck with some fucking rapper. Like, I'm rap rock till I die. I will always love rap rock. I'll always love rap rock. That's fun. That's a fun little nice one, Slav. All right. The corporate interest bankrolling Andrew Cuomo's campaign. I'm very curious about this.
Behind me is Billionaires Row, a collection of ultra-expensive skyscrapers just south of Central Park. This is the new epicenter of wealth and power in New York City and a central hub for supporters of Andrew Cuomo's campaign for mayor.
New York City has an affordability crisis.
Cuomo's super PAC Fix the City has received major cash from at least 10 donors who own properties either on or neighboring Billionaires Row. So why are the titans of New York real estate all in on Cuomo? What's in it for them? Okay.
Yep, this is what happens. You give government all this power and they control everything, and then people with the biggest fucking bank account can just run the government.
Okay, before we really begin, literally the day after we shot this, the landlord lobby gave Cuomo another $2.5 million. That almost doubles the amount of cash the industry has funneled to Cuomo, so just keep that in mind as you watch this. Let's start at 252 East 57th Street, located just a few blocks from the enclave where Andrew Cuomo has been crashing with his daughter. This 65-story skinny skyscraper is a great metaphor for the city. It sits atop a pre-K school and has sold penthouses for north of $20 million. It was developed and managed by Rose Associates, one of the city's leading real estate families. The Roses have given Cuomo Super PAC a cool $40,000, which pales in comparison to the $250,000 check written by the CEO of Empire State Realty Trust. And now we're at 220 Central Park South, an 80-story tower that is one of the city's biggest lightning rods. It was developed by Vornado, whose CEO, Stephen Roth, donated $150,000 to the Cuomo Super PAC and has given $230K since 2005.
Recently, the most expensive home in the country actually sold.
In 2019, the building's penthouse sold for $238 million. The most expensive home ever sold in the U.S., but enjoyed obscenely low tax rates thanks to loopholes and outdated laws. New York lawmakers responded by almost passing a tax on super expensive.
And I feel like they're going to do what I always fucking hate. It's like, dude, with all this stuff, they'll always go on. They'll be like, they took advantage of the law and they did this. And you're like, can you just they never come to the conclusion where it's like, yeah, normal people should be also, they're always just like, let's charge them more money. It's like, can we have anyone that always just goes, hey, maybe you stop. Can someone pass something that lowers taxes for normal fucking people?
pied-à-terre or second homes.
Look for the pied-à-terre tax legislation to pick up momentum in a couple of months.
But then the real estate lobby descended on Albany and voiced its displeasure to longtime recipients of its largesse.
I don't think it's going to happen the way it's laid out now. I think the governor's a smart man.
Including Governor Andrew Cuomo. The bill died in the darkness of Albany. A much more minor tax was implemented instead, and New York City has missed out on hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue per year ever since. It was a big win for Cuomo's billionaire road donors, and just a microcosm of the former governor's relationship with the industry. Real estate interests have donated over $3.6 million to the Cuomo Super PAC. That's $3.6 million more than every other candidate, only one of whom even has a super PAC backing them. Then again, none of the other candidates have helped them build their own mini-cities with public money. Another can be found here in Hudson Yards, a gleaming luxury development on Manhattan's far west side. Filled with condos, office towers, and a high-end mall, Hudson Yards was the world's largest private development, with a catch. Cuomo championed the project.
Hudson Yards, what a great idea.
And taxpayers dropped $6 billion to make it happen. Today, half of the luxury condos are sitting empty, and in a city in a severe affordable housing shortage, critics have blasted it as a waste of public.
Dude, I don't mind. Like, I don't know. I don't mind on paper, like, oh, there's a big luxury apartments, and oh, here's a big sports stadium, and da-da-da. And I don't mind, like, give them tax breaks. Why do the taxpayers have to pay for it? That part I never fucking understand. It's like, no, they should still have to fucking pay for it. It's fucking crazy.
Public money. But it was a great deal for mega developer Stephen Ross, a Cuomo donor who has given at least $165,000 to the former governor's political interests since 2005. Ross's net worth has soared by nearly $9 billion over the past decade. Much of the taxpayer support for Hudson Yards came in the form of tax breaks and credits. One of those was the infamous 421A tax break. It was supposed to spur construction of affordable homes, but it mostly just led to massive new luxury condos for the richest New Yorkers. Cuomo reauthorized that tax break, then tried to rebrand it as Affordable New York. The name was a flop. The tax break was used by many of the same real estate companies whose executives are now bankrolling his super PAC, including Empire State Realty Trust, RFR Holdings, related companies, and Vornado. By comparison, all but one Mamdani donor, who listed a profession in real estate and was either a broker or affordable housing developer, or architect if that counts. Lander has received donations from 10 real estate developers, mostly for around $250 apiece. And City Council Speaker Adrian Adams got a max check from the Real Estate Board of New York, the powerful lobbying group, but donations from just 4 real estate developers. It may or may not be a coincidence that Cuomo supports the luxury building tax break that was implemented to replace 421A, while those 3 other candidates have been firmly opposed to it. Now, not all of these super developers loved everything that Cuomo did as governor. Many developers, along with thousands of management companies, made big money during his tenure as governor. Rents went up 52% during his 3 terms, but still fought tooth and nail against a pro-tenant law that passed in 2019. They still contributed to Cuomo's re-election campaign before he was forced to resign over allegations of sexual harassment. But still, they were mad. At least until February, when Cuomo, shortly before officially jumping into the race, told a private room of real estate bigwigs that he regretted signing the 2019 pro-tenant law, especially the part where it limited rent increases tied to building repairs. That was enough for the chair of the Real Estate Board of New York, who also threw down a cool $250,000. And he stayed on message since, as the only major candidate to not call for a rent freeze in New York City's 1 million rent-stabilized apartments. And for real estate, that's very worth supporting. Thank you so much for watching our video. If you'd like to see more stories like...
Interesting. Damn. James puts out a lot of content.
Clouds.
Hello and welcome to this episode of the James Donald Fools We Can Catamaran Plan. Big day, big tiring, taxing day. A kind thanks to the good people of Omaha who sold out my...
Back up plain side in Knoxville, they will not go to baggage claim.
How much does this guy have to say?
Items that you may need in flight, and I'll begin boarding shortly. Thank you.
So, all right, we have to go. I don't do a good Louisiana accent, and he has a unique voice, and I shouldn't try and pigeonhole.
That Trump has come out of there right now. At this moment, we're recording.
One thing CJ has known. So we went to the mall, and right next to the mall, at the end, Curtis Alvin gets in the car with the journalist and goes,
That is very creative.
Do you want to go do the podcast?
For me, I'd spent a lot of time trying to get shows made at different networks. I'd worked with the BBC equivalent in Australia. I've got logistically.
You don't see it like that artistic twang.
Nah, it's bedroom crane. I'd love to be your disabled husband if it meant I...
You don't see that artistic fucking bend to shit. Wait, okay, 7th slide. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's kind of funny. All right, man. I think this is a good place to wrap it up. Sort of a more low-key stream today. Sucked a little bit of ass, but we'll be back, dude. We'll be back better than ever. I thank you all so much for hanging out with me today. It was a blast. It's a blessing to have you all in my life. If you're feeling nasty, please consider doing what you can to support. I like you guys know I love talking gay ass politics. So if you guys enjoy this, let people know about Big Red in the Morning. If you're watching on Twitch, there's a clip down below for the YouTube. There's also if you don't want to sign up for my Twitch, there is a Patreon I have set up that you can help a brother out. And I will. I gotta change stuff on there. I don't know what to fucking do for the Patreon. Oh yeah, Twitch clips on YouTube. I should change that to just Big Red in the Morning YouTube channel. Yeah, this stuff. Yeah, I don't know what to put. If you guys ever have any suggestions about what would be good for the YouTube, for the Patreon, because I think that'd be a good way to just have side support. Because I feel bad. I go I get where my size is in this whole thing. I mean, I'm a big boy. Andy getting called a snowflake was funny. Yeah, well, that's my favorite. It goes back to the thing I've said before. Is they go so quickly to. They go so quickly to, just calling you gay, and you're like, oh, okay, let's do this. Then having a real argument, because that's the thing. They try to act holier than thou, but they end up being just. That's kind of the point I'm making. Is oh, you guys just end up being what you hate at the end of the day anyway. So. Stop pretending like you're better. That's what gets me going. That's what gets me triggered. But yeah, I should change that to say Big Red in the Morning on YouTube. Figure out something for Patreon. I should really change the Patreon to just $1 too. I hate having all the different tiers. You can pay whatever you want, but the only tier is $1. And it's just extra bullshit. Maybe I'll figure that out. All right. But yeah, I do want to have something set up because I want to get deeper into talking about the things I talk about. I hope the things I talk about don't get me fucked up at hardcore shows, though. I was thinking about that with the trans shit. When I was going on that trans rant earlier, a lot of the people in the hardcore scene are super, I don't know, it just feels like they're super close-minded on other opinions. Just the music scenes in general. And it's I think with the trans topic, that's what was kind of irritating me earlier. It's it's the same thing over and over again. if you try to have nuance on the trans conversation, there's literally people who are like they want to fucking kill you. Not literally, actually I shouldn't say literally, but like, you know, I mean, they would be fine if someone just fucking beat the shit out of you. You know what I mean? So it's like it's this weird thing. And you guys heard me before, like, I'm not anti-trans. I want everyone to live in a way that makes them happy. But, you know, there's certain facts that I really do think it's important to agree on. And I don't think it's like, you know, I don't think you should encourage it with kids. But like, there is part of me that does get worried. Like, the more popular I get, like, and then the more involved I am vocally in like the hardcore scene online, like hardcore discourse or music discourse in general. It's like, did it become a thing where I show up to a show and then someone tries to take advantage of it and I just get like fucking, I don't know. I just don't want to have to worry about people fucking sucker punching me in pits and then I just can't go and do one of my favorite things just because it's like, oh, God forbid I didn't go along with a bunch of people with a psychotic opinion about something. I don't know. It's just a thing I think about. See You Space Cowboy coming for and that's the funny thing. See You Space Cowboy, like, their lead singer's like a fucking problematic whatever the fuck or something. JK, her ass got canceled for being a menace. Yeah, exactly. Like, maybe I just go to hoodcore. I don't know. It's this fucking thing where it's like, it just irritates me in a lot. It's like when I saw that clip of fucking Soupy from the Wonder Years. They were like, he was the only one who had the balls to do it, where it was like, what? Oh, support trans youth? Fuck ICE? And Free Palestine? Which, I agree with aspects of both of those. Not really the trans youth thing, but like, I agree with aspects of all those things. But like, it's the fucking thing where you're like, it's not brave to say any of that. If you're the leads, and I'm a huge fan of the Wonder Years. If you're a huge... wait, sorry, I'm getting my shit mixed up. I'm a huge fan of the Wonder Years. They used to be my favorite band back in the day. But if you are the lead singer of the Wonder Years, it is not risky whatsoever to say that shit. And then it's like, when you do say that shit, you're like, oh, really? You believe that? Oh, really? The lead singer of the Wonder Years believes the opinions he has to have to exist in that scene? You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's just... I don't care about having those opinions. It's just like, stop acting like it's brave when it's like, no, you're actually all like the fucking Gestapo if people don't have the right fucking opinions. So it's like, you're all a bunch of you guys are just narrow-minded cunts. So this whole fucking patting yourself on the back where it's like, guys, can you believe we all agreed with ourselves again? It's like, dude, fuck off. So I don't know. There's a lot of like narrow-minded people in the scene that think they're open-minded, and it makes me worry sometimes. People are sucking Jesse Lacey's dick now because he said no kings on stage. Yeah, they forgot that he was letting children suck his dick earlier. Dude, it's so funny. No, and then there was a clip of I guess I'm not wrapping up. I got to bitch about this real quick. There's a clip of oh no, I saw it on Twitter. I don't know if it would be on YouTube. Senses Fail, brand new. It was at that concert. Was it at? It was probably on Twitter. But yeah, the dude from Senses Fail... Dude, it's psychotic the way it's like, this is what I was talking about earlier. It's like what worries me, because it's like the way a lot of these music fans exist. It's fucking psychotic. There's so, like, a lot of them are so fucking narrow-minded. And I'm really at a point too where it's like, yo, listen to Brand New. But like, if you're gonna get in the mix and have a fucking argument defending Jesse Lacey, it's like, dude, just sit down and shut the fuck up. Because and I'll have the argument, like I just said. Like, I'll have the argument. Like, that's my thing. It's like, I'll have the argument, but I think it's like past I think the brand new thing has been settled. Yeah, fine, go fucking listen to it. But it's like you see these people online where they get an attitude that you'd be like, "Oh, you don't like me shitting on your band fronted by a pedophile? Fronted by a guy who admitted he's a pedophile? You don't like that I made fun of him?" It's like, fuck off. Where is it? I don't know why they don't have the video. Hot takes, don't like Friends of The Office. I'm not sure. What? Dude, it's just fucking irritating. I don't care what people do. Listen to Brand New. Listen to R. Kelly. Go watch a fucking, who's the fucking guy? His wife got Sharon, he was like with Sharon Tate when she got murdered. I keep forgetting his name. You know what I'm just saying? It's like, go watch the shit. Roman Polanski. Go watch a Roman Polanski movie. But it's like, when it's time, like, if you feel the urge to defend them, it's like, dude, just shut the fuck up and sit the fuck down. Where's the fucking video? But anyway, like, I see, Roman Polanski, thank you. I see fucking videos of Buddy calling out, like, oh, whoever's going to see Brand New, you're a bitch. Like, it's this weird thing where it's just like, oh, we just pretend. Like, and also, I don't get how inconsistent these people are, because it's like, you know, I don't know. I guess I'm kind of putting one thing on a huge group of people that is, I guess I'm not looking at it. But yeah, it's just like, I don't know, dude. The Brand New thing doesn't seem complicated to me. The Brand New thing doesn't seem fucking complicated to me. It's like, dude, he's a fucking... It's like, do what you want to do, have fun, Brand New. But the people who are like, yeah, I'll put all that aside because I really want to hear him play Sewing Season live, because that really meant something to me. Ironically, the age of when he would have wanted to fuck me the most. And then Buddy Nelson, I think his name is. What's the lead? Buddy something from Census Fail. Buddy from Census Fail calls out people for going to see Brand New, and your response is like, the worst Brand New album's better than the best Census Fail album. It's like, oh, maybe. I mean, that might be true, but you know what's on those albums that's not on your albums is not a pedophile. You know, your albums are full of pedophiles and pedophile apologists. Census Fail albums don't have any pedophiles on them. So what the fuck are we talking about? Just, it's like, I don't care that you're listening to the shit. Just shut the fuck up. You know what I mean? Like, I don't fault people for listening to, like, problematic... Like, I don't fault people for experiencing art from, like, problematic people. It's fine. The vast majority of people who make art are problematic. It's just, like, when it comes to, like, these conversations about, like, oh, we should really exert effort to defend Brand New. It's like, that's why. I don't know. Honestly, what Buddy from Census Fail said wasn't as bad as the Wonder Years. It's like, I'm not even saying like, oh my God, what the Wonder Years was saying was so bad. It's just like, I see these bands and these band members, and they're like, fuck it, I'm going to take a stand. And then it's just like, then you just say the shit everyone's been saying. Like, I've seen 20 hardcore bands put out fuck Ice shirts. And you're like, yeah, obviously, because that's how you, like, have to fucking believe. And I'm not even, like, for the way they're doing it. But it's like this idea that it's like, oh, you know, God forbid you want illegals deported. God for fucking bid. God for fucking bid. Now, the way they're doing it's fucked up, and I don't agree with that at all. But also kind of said it tongue-in-cheek and said, who fucking cares? There's bigger things to worry about. Yeah, he was also busting balls. I feel like I've never heard over the years about Buddy having skeletons in his closet. I mean, the only thing in Buddy's closet was him for the longest time. Then he finally got out, and they all fucking do. I don't know. I don't really trust any of those old Warped Tour bands that have not fingered a kid or two. Yeah. Well, that's the other thing, too. Like, that's the other thing that drives me up a fucking wall is I go, fuck it. Most people in bands need to sit the fuck down, too, if they're gonna, and even most of the fans, it's like, brother, I'm sure all you guys got some sort of skeleton in your closet. So if it's not something that's clear cut, like Jesse Lacey admitted to grooming fucking 14-year-olds, if it's not clear cut like that, maybe calm the fuck down and shut the fuck up. How about that? How about we all as I'm yelling this, how about we all calm the fuck down and shut the fuck up and just assume that maybe your dumbass doesn't know the right answer to fucking everything. So when a new topic arises, we go, what do you mean by that? Oh, interesting. And then we have a conversation. We don't just go, here's my list of things, and if there's someone that disagrees with me, I fuck them up. You know, that's how a fucking retard operates. So don't be retarded. How about that? Yeah, no bad. Yeah, not bad. More just like, duh, obviously cringe moment, trendy activism. Yeah. It just, I don't know. I hate when people get badass points for doing fucking bullshit that's not even remotely dangerous. But yeah, great stream today, boys. I'm going to get out of here. This was very, very fun. I love you all dearly. Will I be back tomorrow? Quite possibly for a little bit. Yeah. I will